the people who are at home. And then everyone has the file open? All right. That's the first step. Now we got to get this class opened up. Hi, Bonnie. Oh, can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Okay. I'm going to put you on the computer. Oh, I should have said host, not co-host. I hope that works. Well,
Recording in progress.
give me a second. Okay. Can y'all hear me from home?
Yes.
Celia,
Yeah.
hi, Bonnie.
Hello.
What's that? Oh, thank you. So I'm gonna put you guys in here for a minute for everyone to say hello before we get going. Hi, Vera.
Morning.
Here comes Norma. All right, the gang is assembling. All right, so open InDesign, of course, open the file that we were working on last, wrong glasses. Oh. My little 6 eyes me, not 4 eyes. I've got 2, 4, 6 on my head. Let's go ahead and make sure that you have InDesign opened and the file. And those of you who are at home, go ahead and give me a little hello in the chat, please. There's Sam coming in. And I hope you're ready to work on this thing and put in some text, some imagery. Is this running? Yes, let me turn the slide on. And here we go. All right, so. Cool. All right, I just wanted to say, I'm not gonna show, normally I show the Padlet, but when people are doing different things, but this time I'm not gonna show it because what you've posted is basically the same for everyone. And I've checked and everyone's, made this first front page, so it's awesome. I show it when people have, their own designs and things that they put in, but this time that's fine. Is anyone here today, of those of you who are at home, who has not yet done this work? I don't think so. I think I saw it from everyone, but just to confirm, because otherwise I can give you a file to catch up. No, I'm going to see Bonnie, Vera. No, you guys were all here. Okay, good. So then, if the file is open and ready to go and you don't need the catch up material, let's get going. Let me share my screen. And there we go. All right. So what we're going to do right now is begin to work. Oh, who's coming in?
That's me, Bonnie. I have to change my name, I bet.
And all right. Hold on. When I share it, you guys get small, that'll make you big again, and perfect. Let me see, are all your names first and last names online? Sometimes I forget. Yeah, you all have your names perfectly. Oh, Bonnie, let me add.
I'm trying to change my
Because on
name.
the roster, you are not Bonnie, you're Aileen. So I
Oh,
need to
no.
have your last name there. I noticed the other day, I forgot to ask you to change it. So
Oh, okay.
can you add, do you know how to do that? Hover over
Do
your
what?
video and the little 3 dots on the top right.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, okay.
You want me to
good.
put Eileen
Right,
in?
but you can leave Bonnie, but put your last name so that then it correlates with who's
Oh.
in the roster. Does that make sense?
Oh, I thought I did. Okay.
There you go. Okay, and then a reminder to everyone who's in class to please speak when you ask questions or have things to say. In this case, try to speak loudly so people at home can hear you. And then here, I'm gonna turn this around. Oh, someone's all right. Oh, Vera and her second computer. Okay, so here's here's the class. And I'm trying to see that I'm going to make this smaller so everyone here can see you guys. I try to have it feel like everyone is a bit aware of what everyone else is doing. So there's me, so that when I'm standing on the side, you can see it. And Jesse's kind of hidden there behind. But it's okay. You got a feeling for everyone who's here. Okay, ready. Let's go. Okay, today now we're going to start with text. Give me a little wave your hands again. Remind me if you guys are in my digital design techniques class. Who is here in that class? I believe maybe Norma. Anna, you're in that class? No. And who's in my Illustrator class? Okay, good. Oh, got it, Norma. All right. Thanks for the clapping. Okay, good. That just helps me remember, because I want to have an idea. If suddenly, 5 of you say you're there, then I might give you something different to do or advance, because I'm going to be talking about some stuff that maybe I've already repeated this week if you were in those classes, right? But if you aren't, then good. All right. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and first of all, depending on what size your screen is, remember the zooming in and out tools, Command 0 fits it in the screen. Command, or if you're at home, Control 0. Command +++ zooms us in. Command minus zooms us out. And in this case, if you zoom out enough, you would see, like, the whole little structure. And go ahead, and even if you know it, do it, because I want you to, remember when I say zoom in, zoom out later, I want to remember that these things are, are handled. When you are doing this and you're zooming out like that, if you want to zoom in, say, to page 4 or 5 or any of the others, a good solution is to just click over here, but not just click, but double click on the one that you want to go to. A lot of times we think clicking takes us, but it's double clicking. So if I double click on this one right now, and then, I truly am, I'm in that one. And the only way to know that I'm in the right page at this point, when there's nothing on it, would be to look down here and see that there's a little 4 way down there. Let me put the little light on my mouse so it's easier. Hold on, I need to move this out of the way. Okay, so now my mouse has a little mouse. My mouse has a little light. So there's a little 4 over there. And I don't know if I showed you this, but especially when you have a big document, instead of going up here, like I've been showing you, and say you have 50 pages, you would still have to scroll down to get to page 50. You could also click over here and like jump from page to page this way. Like, let's go to page 1, let's go to page 4, let's go to parent B, or stuff like that, right? So you can just use this little thing there. Or again, you could go over here where it says 3. And now I'm thinking, when you have to go to 50, it might still be a while to go and like choose, 50. You can just type in here. You can just say 1 and hit return. Boom, you've gone to 1. So this little guy here is good for navigation. If you have, so many pages that it's hard to just move up and down. Yeah. And I'm used to that. It's not active. 4. Because since you're so zoomed out, there's nothing to go to. So zoom up, go to zoom, then 0, and then when you go over here, it'll switch from page to page. Now I take you to page 1, page 2, right? Okay. Yeah, thanks for showing that. When you are zoomed out, because since I told you to zoom out first, maybe you guys, when you're zoomed out really far, if you change from page to page, it seems like nothing is happening. Why? Because even the only place you would see something happening is here, where this is becoming blue. And I'm going to go over here and I'm going to choose, parent A, and that's becoming blue, showing me what's selected. But over here, you would have to zoom in and out to see that. Okay. All right, let's head back to the beginning of our file. And again, in case things are all over the place, go ahead and do Command 0 to center. And I'm going to actually move this like with a space bar. Remember, hold space bar to get your hand. And I'm going to just drag it over a little bit. I want to work a little bit on the pasteboard. And some of you have a smaller screen or a bigger screen. And the reason I'm going to work on the pasteboard at this point is I want to make, am I going to get to do layers? I haven't shown you layers in this class, have I yet? Let me start. I want to make sure that we get to the end. So I might not work with layers until a bit later. And here's what I was going to say. When you have a more complicated document, you want to try to divide the graphics, or in this case, the boxes that have color is what we did, and later they'll have photos in there, from text. And one way to do that might be by having them in different layers. So in this essentials mode that we're working, we don't have layers available to us. And for those of you who have been practicing with layers, you might want to be using them. And where are they? Well, in the essentials version, they're not there. But any missing window panel that you don't have, we'll find them all under the very top of the screen. If you go to window and you pull out, you'll have everything that's not here that you might want to see. So I'm going to go ahead and say layers, and I'm going to click on layers right there. And then layers pops in. And then you have it in this little window. Now notice that now I have in this window like an extra little column. If you're running out of space, you can grab the layers and put them in here if you need that. Now the reason I like the layers open is because I also have the links, and the links and the layers are two things that we're going to need. So there's different ways of setting up your page. Wait, hold on. I see that Vera. So go open your layers, everyone, and let me see. Vera, you need a hand?
I do. I had 8 pages and yours only has 4. I don't have the A and B parent.
Okay, so say that you have 4. Let me just go ahead. Say that you've somehow ended up with 8, like I'm showing you right here. I just had 8. You can just delete the 2 extra ones. So I just added 2 B pages. I can just select them like that, or you can click select to select both, then go over to the little trash can and get rid of them. And now you're down to 4 again.
Okay.
Did that work?
Yes.
Okay, great. So now you all saw that. I think some questions teach you. All right. So what I was saying is when you opened up the layers, did it all become like another little column right here? Do you have this set up now? Okay, so I don't want to have 3 panels. When I open the layers, it'll pop over the other one. So I want to have them parallel. And there's 2 solutions to this. We can either have this join the big one here, or that one join the small one here. And either way, maybe what I'll do just to show you this, I'll have this one join the small one. So watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab pages, the word pages. This is the panel that we've opened up. Drag this little tab from here, and I'm going to stash it right in there until it's sitting underneath that. So now I have, when I want pages, I click on that and it opens up. When I want layers, I click on that and it opens up. When I want links, I'll open that. So it gives us more space, especially if you have less space on your screen. You don't normally have to be looking at your pages all the time. It was great at first when we're beginning to understand what we're doing, but now all we really need is to begin to work. So I'm going to double click on the cover, know that I'm there, and then I can just turn it off. You can keep it on or not. But since what I want next, even if I leave it on, since what I want next is layers, when I open layers, pages closes, right? You can only have one of these to open at a time. Does that make sense? All right, so let's go ahead and open layers. And we're gonna just do 2 simple layers. We can do all kinds of layers and guides and stuff, but just to introduce you to the concept of layers, I'm gonna have you have just 2 today. But it's interesting because it says layer 1 and we already have 3 things in here. So how do I see what's in this layer 1? Well, see this tiny little arrow next to the word layer 1? If I click on that tiny little layer, it expands and it shows me that I have 3 rectangles, right? And if I click on that little arrow again, it collapses, right? So that is the layer that has the 3 rectangles. Now, I don't know which rectangle is which because it just says rectangle. Like if you're accustomed to Photoshop, you get like a little thumbnail that shows you, oh, this is the red one, this is a green one. And in InDesign or Illustrator, you just have like a little description of the object. So if I want to say, well, I want to select the red one, I wouldn't know which is the red one. But what I can do over here is I can click on, I'm going to click on this little box that you see back there. I'm going to click on that one. And if I look, which one got selected? Where did the handles appear in my art? I've got the handles around my biggest one. So I know that this is that slate gray one. When I instead go and click on this one, see how the handles appear around the red one. When I click on this one, the handles appear about the green one. So this is another way to select things. Now, since rectangle, rectangle, rectangle isn't very descriptive, what I could do is I could change the name and say red rectangle or red box or green box, or you know what I'm trying to say? So, and again, it's not necessary to do it, but it's helpful. So say that I select this one that's green. Oh, and by the way, come over here. When I say click away, click on the pasteboard. If instead of selecting from there, you select as we normally have been selecting, which is basically click and you select, notice how the little blue light turns on the middle one. So that's telling me that that's the red layer. So I can either select from here and that'll show me it's that one, or I can select from here and then I'll see over there which one it is, right? So let me go ahead and give it a name. Let me go to the middle one. I'm gonna double click with my finger on the word rectangle right there, or it kind of lights up a little bit like that. It highlights itself. And now I can call this one maybe red box or red rectangle or whatever, right? And I hit return, and then that helps me now distinguish it from the others, which sometimes it really matters to do that. In this case, you know, it's so easy to see which one is which, but sometimes things, elements are hidden or in the back, and that kind of helps you distinguish. So if you want to go ahead and name the other two, you might well as do it. Now, 1 second, I see your hands up. If I just select the layer like this, as you would expect maybe for Photoshop people, it doesn't work. That, see how that one is still selected? It's really that little box back here that we need to click for it to change the selection. Hold on, Vera's hand is up. Give me a second, and then I see some hands up here too. Vera?
Yes, when I click on the little box, it doesn't change.
If the blue box, does it turn,
The little blue box, double click.
meaning
it's not
does it
changing.
turn blue? Nothing is changing, rather handles are appearing over here. Is that not?
Yeah, the handles are appearing on the red rectangle.
Yeah.
But
That's
The
all that
box-
needs. That's all that needs to happen. When I click from here, it just selects it. That's all it
Okay.
does. It's a simple selection. As much as if I had clicked here, I know it's selected because it has little handles. The blue line appears. When I click on this one, nothing visually happens other than the handles appear on the big one. And maybe you're zoomed out like this, you're zoomed in, you might not see them. Oops. So you might want to zoom down a little bit so that you can see the handles a bit better appearing. If you're not seeing that
I
box.
see the handles appearing, they're better, and as I was working, I didn't see how you got the words red box under it.
Oh, okay. So you double click, right? So I'm gonna double, or you can also right click and rename, probably. No, you can't. So just double click on the word rectangle. So there, oh, three triple click it would seem. Oh, why was double click not enough? I actually had to do triple.
Okay, it did, all right,
And then that's how the name change, you can
okay,
sign it
thank
up.
you so much.
Okay, no, you're welcome. So now I'm gonna grab this one and I'm gonna, for some reason, it would seem like it needs it's not responding so quickly. How weird. You know what it is? You just need to do your double click and just wait. It just takes, it really is a triple click. 1, 2, 3. And then wait, it's a triple click. I don't know. That's strange. Okay. So, and then in this one, I look and see what's selected and it's the slate gray one. Or you can call it the big box, I mean, colors change. So maybe sometimes it could be called, background or big background, or, you rename it, whatever helps you recognize whatever it is, right? A slate, big background or something like that. And again, you don't have to name everything, and it's just showing you how to do it if you do want to name it, but it's not that incredibly necessary. Someone popped in. Oh, Moni. There we go. Let's get Moni in. Say that again.
Now, when you cover all these two, when you say combination of black and the green, or just layer?
No, good question. No, this is just this one. If I move it out, it's just this one. That one was sitting on top. This one is sitting on top. So this is just that one. It's just that it's under it. So it looks like it was a combination. I'm going to remember how to get rid of what you just did that you didn't want to do. I'm going to do Command and then Z, 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 and it undoes. I just did 3 movements, right? I did move to show her, and then I moved it over. So that's 2 things. So I do Command, I hold down the Command key and then tap Z one time, Z another time, until I'm back to where I want it, right? What's that? Command or control for those of you who are on a PC. Just showing you again how to do the undos, because there's so much we do that we need to undo, which is much easier than fixing it. If I move it all over the place, it would be easier to undo than to try to put it in the right place again, because then I'd have to like make sure it hits the bleed and all that again. Does that make sense? Versus just a simple undo, boom, it was in the right place. I don't have to refit it. So I always say, don't fix, undo, okay? Hi, Moni. Do you have the file for this one? You ready to go? Okay.
I'm getting there. Just go ahead.
Oh, okay. So grab the, that's a good point. That means you might have some other stuff hiding, so that's good. So let me give me a second here. I just wanna, normally when I'm in a class that is officially supposed to be hybrid, everyone here is sharing the screens too, so that you also see what's happening. But since this is more an ad hoc, I'm letting you guys pop in. I'm gonna fix something or help Liz fix something on her screen, but just letting you know what's happening. She's seen five things here in the layer. So if anyone else at home has seen that too, you have more things. You're seeing these three over here, but suddenly two more are appearing. That's actually why layers are useful. Let me show you what I mean. If I make let me just show you so that then you might even know how to fix it yourself. Let me just go to box and I'm going to make another box. Boom, just to make a little box. Let me make it a color that's obnoxious so we're clear what it is. And you guys can just watch this or you can do it, but I'm just going to show you this because when something happens to someone, that's a pretty typical thing to happen. I'm probably sure someone else has that going on too. So see, I have another one here and now I have four things, right? Since I named two, they don't say rectangle anymore, but it looks like I have four rectangles, which I can actually see. So it's kind of like easy, but what if it were like there? Those same four things are there, but I'm only seeing three. What happens then is that having the layers makes it easy for me to find it because I click on this one and although I don't see the bright yellow color because it's hiding, it lights up. Now, that's one thing that could be happening. So by clicking on each one of these, you might see things that you might end up by mistake or not have hidden in the background, right? And that's what could be happening, in which case then I could bring it up, and that's why it's called layers. I can just grab it here and drag it up to the top and oh, there it was. I've shifted the order of these materials. So if you don't have an extra one, just try it with this. Grab your red box and drag it under the slate background and boom, it seems like my red box disappeared and it didn't. It's just hiding under the big one. Does that make sense? So this is why layers are useful when you're trying to have some things appear or not. Now I'm going to say, no, I want the red background back on top. So go ahead and move things around. And then after you've tried one or two, come back to having the regular stuff. Now that might help discover something. It could also be, and here's the thing, it could also be that perchance you have created something really, really tiny and can't barely see it. It's yellow, so you'll see it. And it's way somewhere in the pasteboard. And since what you're doing is you're just kind of, zooming into this, there's something here that, there's a box here that you only see three, I have four. And when I click on the light, it might take you to that weird thing that's way over there. So this kind of helps you in that sense. So now I'm going to go help see if any of those two tips held Liz find what those four are. But meanwhile, you guys move things around, put the slate background above the green, put the green above the bottom, play around with that. And then when we're done, let's bring back to normal so that we can continue with the class. But just wanting to show you one of the utilities of the layer. Okay, so let's see what this can be. Now, it could be such a tiny box that it doesn't even show up. Okay, click on this little box and let's see what that is. Okay, that's that one. Click on this one, that's that one. On that one, that one. Okay, let's see what those two are now. Okay, looks like we have two of these. Right, and delete. Yeah, hit delete. Yeah, see, and you had three of them. Delete. Now that's interesting. The example I gave, it was none of those for her. And in fact, this is what was happening, which is actually, you would have never been able to distinguish it without this feature, because what she had is the same one. Let me just repeat what was happening there because it's a really good thing to do. And let me just show you what was happening. Okay, so she just had the names, she just had this, 3 boxes and 4 layers. And you couldn't tell what they were. So she clicked on this one, the red one, clicked on this one, the green one, clicked on this one, the black one, and then clicked on this one, the black one. So it was like, where are the other 2? I happen to have named them. But by clicking on this one, nothing seemed to have happened. And what's happening is she had 3, one on top of the other of these big black ones. When she created them, somehow she duplicated or triplicated them, but you wouldn't have been able to see them. Like if I now move this one, I would see, oh, there's another one there, there's another one there, but I wouldn't have ever been able to distinguish that or know that was happening unless I saw this. So then I went, oh, if I have 3 of them, I certainly don't need 3. So by selecting this one, I hit the delete key, one disappeared. Again, doesn't look like much is happening, but one of the big ones disappeared. I grabbed the second one disappeared, and now you're back to, phew, I only have 3, right? Let me just triple click on this one and give this one the name, which is the green one. And call this one the green bottom or something like that box. Okay, so now my 3 have names. Again, you don't have to have names on them. This was, unless you have so many layers that it's really confusing, then you want to name them. Right now with 2 layers, we don't have to, but showing you how to name things. Okay, now what you do want to name though, if I collapse again to not see these layers, what I do want to name is the layer itself. Because what I'm going to do on this layer 1 is I'm going to leave my images, my pictures, my graphics, right? So I'm going to double click on layer 1 and that, yes, watch again what happened. When I double click on layer 1, it comes up with a little layer option, including the name layer 1. And I'm going to go ahead and call this one graphics or images or pictures, depending on what art piece you're doing. So I'm just going to call this one the what's that? No. I want to distinguish between text goes on one layer, art or graphics or pictures go on another layer. You could have another layer with guides. So it's the elements in the structure. Okay, so I'm going to call this one to make it easier graphics, because some are boxes, some are images, right? I'm going to call that one that. I'm going to say okay. So what we have right now are graphics. And now, once you've named that one, again, I don't care if you name the layers or not, but I certainly want you to have named the graphics, because now I'm going to create another layer. And how do you create another layer? Down here from the layers panel, you go to this little plus sign right there, plus, and now I have a second layer. And this one, I'm going to double click and call this one text. Okay, so now I have my graphics on one layer, my text on another layer. Now, the main reason you would do this is when you do end up having, a lot of elements. When you're creating something like this, you have it's, maybe, can you imagine you would have like 85 little items. And so it begins to be easier to go, okay, I'm going to go work on text. I'm going to work on that. But also because when you work on text, if you're sure these are in the right place, you might not want them to move. And so what I can do now is I can say, okay, I'm not going to work on graphics right now. So I'm going to lock the graphics. See, I put my mouse in here and locked it. So now watch, if I try to grab any of these, not grabbable, not movable. See how they're all like, they're literally, they become like a little painting in the background. That's really helpful when you've created a whole bunch of, elements that need to stay in place and you're making some other ones. It's good to make sure that these won't move by mistake, right? Now, we're not 100% sure they're in the right place yet, but when we're ready to move and work on these again, we'll unlock them. But for now, we'll work in the text, which if I try to open up and collapse, there's nothing in our text yet. There's no elements there, but I'm about to work on text and I will put elements there. So make sure to have graphics locked, select your text, and now we're going to start putting text in the text layer. As we move back and forth, if I tell you, okay, move the red box a bit over, if you see that nothing's happening, go, oh, my layer must be locked. Go over here and unlock it by just clicking on the lock again. So it's a simple lock unlock, but it's really helpful. Sometimes we don't want to lock the entire layer. We just want to go, you know what? I might still need to move the red box around, but I know that the big one and the green one are in the right place. So then you just seal the back. So you only That way you can never move this background out of place. It's so easy to inadvertently try to grab some text and boom, you've moved the background, right? So it's good to remember that you have the opportunity to just lock either the entire layer or just a few elements. What you want to remember when you're sitting here going, oh, I'm moving, let me grab this one. Go, how come? How come it's not? Remember, if something is not selectable, you probably locked it. Okay. So that's what you just want to be aware of that is happening. Other than that, right now I'm going to lock the entire graphics. Okay. So I'm going to just lock the whole thing and close it up because I don't want them right now, but just showing you how you can just also lock individual elements. Okay. Now, even if you don't lock individual elements like that, and you lock that, they all get locked anyway, right? But if you lock this one, right, only this one, and then you lock the whole group, when you unlock the whole group, the one that was individually locked stays unlocked. So anyway, you'll play, you know, again, this is not so crucial. It's a bit more advanced, but mainly showing it to you because a lot of people don't notice the lock is there. And they will go select a layer. Instead, they just click here because, hey, why not? And then inadvertently you lock it. Does that make sense? So remember, if you're going to select a layer, select it from the name area. If you want to select the item, select it from the box, right? Because selecting a layer doesn't select my green. So you need to go to the box to select it, the little blue box on the right. Or if I want to lock it, I just lock it this way. Okay. Now, the last thing that I haven't shown you yet is the eyeball. What if I want it exactly there? I just don't want to see it for a minute. I just turn the eyeball off. It's there, it hasn't gone anywhere. I'm just turning the eyeball off. Maybe I need some clarity for something else for a while. So the eyeball basically means see it or don't see it. It's not gone, I'm not seeing it. So now I'm going to hit the eyeball again, and now I'm going to see them all. Okay, so each one of these pieces has a meaning. All right, now the last thing is how come these are blue and this is red? Notice that there's a blue line here and then there's a red line there, right? It's like, wait, what's that all about? Well, that's one of the things that helps us distinguish where things are. Because look, if I select this box, it has, I don't know if you can tell, let me just move it over a little bit, but it has bluish outlines around it. Watch what's going to happen when I make, I'm going to lock my graphics now. I'm going to go to text and I'm going to just watch, draw a text box. Now it has red around it, not because it's text, it's because it's on that layer. In fact, if I were to make a box here too, it would have red around it. It's just telling me that it's on this layer. So it's just another visual thing versus when I make things in this layer and I make it, it has a blue box around it. See it? In fact, don't do this, but if I make another layer, then anything I make on that layer will have a green box around it. So it's a visual indication of, if you're not watching your layers, just the color tells you, oh, this is in layer, which layer it is. So I don't want a third layer now, just showing you that. I want to keep it clear and simple. But just telling you, I'm trying to tell you what the elements of this are, and that's why these colors are there. Hopefully to help us understand as we make an element, oh, it's got a red layer, that must be on the text box, okay? Now, I know there's some questions, but before I go, I want to make sure everyone returns to this, where everything is visible, graphics are locked, text is selected, and I'm going to go help. But the next thing we're going to do is we're going to write some text. So go select your text box, okay? And I'm going to go down to 0, move this. I'm going to put I'm going to be writing over here, and that's where I'm going to start. But now let me go ahead and give a hand. Her hand is up first. Give me a second. Yeah.
Okay.
No. That box is an open frame for text right now. That's something. And it knows to make it there because it's a box, so it doesn't have a way to make it there.
I know, but what?
No, I'll tell you that. I'm right now.
Okay.
Give me a second. I'll work on what's happening in the baseboard right now to make sure everyone is here. Yeah, this little thing I just did was a demo. So when I say just watch, I mean it, because then you start doing it and then I have to spend hours fixing it. demo, I do some quick things that I don't expect you to follow because then I haven't taught you that yet. So it's just explanations. If you try to do it, then I have to go fix it. So when I say demo, just watch, I mean it, demo, just watch. It's a concept I'm trying to teach versus a doing this. Because now we're going to start doing it and then you'll understand it. But I first sometimes need to present what I'm about to explain first. All right? Yeah.
It seems like.
Mhm. Yeah. Oh, I explained the layers and I didn't, yeah, so this box is kind of not docked yet, so you need to dock it. Now, in this case, where this ended up, and I'm just gonna do it for you for a minute because it was docked kind of in between these right there, and it made its own little box. But I'm gonna undo that, take that out, because normally the way this one would have appeared is it did its little thing here, so when you opened it up, it normally would have docked itself into a little, but it didn't, okay. So I'm gonna just pop it in there, pop the pages in there, and in your case, I'm gonna turn it into the thin column. That's the box. I'm trying to get it. Interesting. You close it. Close it. Give me a second. Oh. Reset. A second. The essentials. Give me a second, guys. I'll be there. Reset the essentials. Okay. Now, if I add a layer, it appears that right now. Okay, and then I bring out the pages of it. So now you have it set up. Sometimes you need to kind of. So that's exactly how I have it. And it was easier to at this point than to explain because I want to. It's fine. All right. Because it's not, it was so important to how to use it. It's just manipulation of boxes. Which is? Oh, if you reset essentials, your box is gonna appear like they're gonna clean themselves up and we've been kind of hand making them appear, but that's okay. Go ahead and open layers again, go up the window and look for layers. It's gonna pop itself in the little column. And then grab pages. Here, the pages and here, instead of hiding, we can blot it out and just drag it in there. There you go, and now go back up and now you're set. Okay, all right, guys, how are we doing? Layers, you have everything else. Layers, everyone here is good. All right, here we go. Text. You don't need to be watching any of this right now all the time. This was just explanation of we're going to use it at some point, but as long as this is locked, your text has nowhere to go then on the only unlocked layer. So when you make a text box, it will appear on the text layer because I locked the graphics layer. So let's go ahead and with the type tool, we're going to just do click and drag and make a text box. Now, it doesn't matter what size you do it or not. Remember, everything in InDesign needs a holder. You cannot just write text in the air or put in a picture in the air. There's going to be a box that holds that. It's a placeholder, you know, it's a frame. A frame holds the text, a frame holds the red box, a frame holds the green box. It was harder to tell that because the box, the frame around the red box just looks like the red box, but there is a frame there. And this is what a frame holds our text looks like. So let's write the word discover. And we're going to write it uppercase D, but the rest in lowercase, discover. And you can barely tell it says discover. What it says right now is the default text. Give me a second here because I want to look and see in your case. It does look like, see, this is telling me that you're not in the text layer. Let's go to your layers. And your text is appearing here. See how discover was there? And I can tell only because it's blue. Just grab it and drag it up into text box. Yeah, and then lock your graphics layer because layer is what now it's in your text box. No, not text. When you open this, you'll see that the word discover is on that little arrow. And now discover is in here. Text, okay. All right. So what's happening with this text is that it's the default text that comes out when you have nothing else done yet. We haven't written anything yet. So if I look at the properties panel here on the right, I discover that it changed into the character panel, and it's telling me that this is Minion Pro regular 12 points, right? This is the description of what's happening here. And there's two ways to deal with text as far as color. The most traditional one people are accustomed to is to select text to change it. So let's do that one first. How do we select this text? We kind of click and drag across it, or you can 1, 2, 3, click on the middle of that text, and it's kind of hard to see. So, you know, click somewhere in the vicinity of those 3, and then 1, 2, 3, that whole word discovers. And now let's go make it bigger so we can work on it a bit easier. So I'm going to go over here to the 12 points and make it maybe, I don't know, 36 points. Let's maybe make it even a bit bigger. Let's go for 60 points just to see it. Now it looks like it turned white, but it didn't. It just, what happened is that it's selected. When something is selected, it's just giving me the negative version of itself. Does that make sense? So watch. If I were to now leave this text box, I have the text tool in my hand. When you have the text tool in your hand, what's going to happen if I click again? I'll make a new text box, which I'm not wanting to make a new text box. So remember, once you are done with a tool, where do you switch to? What's your home tool? The black selection tool. So let's go and select the black selection tool. And now we can see that truly the text was in black. It was just the fact that it was selected that was showing me in its kind of negative version, right? So that's the problem, that when you select text, you can't see its actual color anymore. So what other way can I work with a text box? Well, I could actually also select my box like I have just done. Select the box first, which it already is, but click away if you want and notice that there's a difference between selecting or not. How do I know it's selected? I see the handles. Now, just watch. When I selected this text box, I still got my text information here. Watch watch here. Watch this panel now. I'm going to deselect it. Boom, no text information here. Select it again, text information here. So as much as if I deselect and click on one of these boxes, which are now locked, I would see information about how to modify this box and the color of this box. By selecting a text box, text appears. So I don't necessarily, once the text is written, I don't necessarily have to select the text. I just need to select the text box for my tools to appear. So now with the tools there, I can actually still change, make this again tiny text. We can't see it, or I can see it. So see, it still works for changing what's in there without having to have it selected. Okay, does that make sense? You all were able to mainly be aware that you can't work on text until you select it. Once you select it, now you can work on text. Okay. I'd be a millionaire if every time someone calls me over that something's not working, it's because they weren't selecting. Like, select it, then things, you know, I mean, it's the typical, I mean, if I go, before I walk over to the last computer, I go, did you select it? And then you go, oh yeah, that's fine. That's like 90% of the times, right? Because we forget sometimes at first that what our mouse does and the little handles really mean something. It means what tools do I have available to work on? Yes. Hand? Oh, no hand. Okay. All right. So now we do want this to change color, right? So because if we put this over there, it's kind of hard to read, right? So I'm just kind of working over here first to make a point and to not have any of these move around. How do we would change a color of text? And this is the part that you need to remember. The text is one thing and the frame, the holder, is another. So watch. I'm gonna for a second unlock my graphics layer and show you. If I select this red box, I see the choices to fill, stroke. It shows me that that's the color. It has no stroke, right? I'm gonna lock it again. When I select my text now, I'm gonna lock this again, it doesn't show me that there's a fill or a stroke, because what I've selected now is the box. and the box has no fill and no stroke. If I were to give it a color, watch. What colors is the box? Not the text, because I only had the box selected. Now let me undo that or go to none again. This truly is the text. Now these handles aren't a stroke. It's just me seeing the box. If I hit the W to not see the other stuff, I see only what's not on the text box, but I don't see the box anymore. See, that's just the box that holds it. So what needs to happen is if I go to the fill right now, I would have to apply the color to not the frame, but the text. And now I can make the text be pink or the text be yellow or blue or whatever I want it to be. In this case, I want it white, but I need to make sure that I tell it, do you want to apply it to the frame or to the text? Does that make sense? So if it says frame, then sure, my frame is going to get all colorful. Rarely should we color the frame of a text. It's better to put text over a box the right color, because then you can, have complete control over where it goes. But remember that you can choose with the same little box to fill either the frame or the box. So now I'm going to make sure that I have none on the frame again. And then I'm going to make my text be paper color, which in InDesign, paper color means white, which is ridiculous in a sense. But 99.9% of the paper that we print things on is white, right? Now in Bendo, have you ever sent through a printer a colored paper? In which case, the background isn't white. And so if you put white, the colored paper, you wouldn't see the text. But there's a whole nother, because there's no way for inks to give you white. Like combination of cyan, magenta, and yellow cannot give you a white color. What happens is when you color something paper is that in the printer, it makes a little hole and just doesn't put ink on the word discover. Anyway, does everyone have some white text now? Let's drag it over here. Drag this and move it to on top of this and see, now we can see it just fine. But it's not really white ink. As I said, if this gets printed, what's happening is ink falls all the way around it and no ink falls on the word discover. That's how you get, that's why it's called paper and not white. Does that make sense, you guys? If it said white, you would expect white, and it's not. Ink can't give you white. It just gives you no color. That's why it's called paper. But that's basically white. Okay. The color, yeah, it just changes. Yeah, its color just changes. No matter, it's just simple. Nothing just changed. Then select, click on you're not in your selection tool. Go to your selection tool, way up on the top left. No, you can close the layers. Top left selection tool. See, again, now boom, $1 into my pocket. It's always selection. If you ever have a question, make sure your selection tool is the top black one. That is your selection tool. So if you're going to select something, that's what needs to be selected. If you singularly want to select only the letter S or the D, the V, then the whole box is selected. You can't use a selecting tool. Now, let's go to the type tool, because you need to isolate one letter. So let's go back to the type or text tool, go in here and select letter C. Go do that. Let's select one line of that text. Now I truly am in the text tool and I am truly selecting one line of the text. So now if I go to fill, that only, see, it's automatically referring to text. Now I can make that text, cyan, but you don't see it cyan because when you select things, they are in their negative, right? So you have to select something else, go back to that text, make it red, select another letter, go back to that. And that fill automatically is showing you text because you truly are in your text tool. So it doesn't give you that. I mean, you could change it to frame, but it makes no sense. You're actually working on text. So that's how you would select and change colors so, and also watch, when I'm in the text tool and I select a type, it actually already tells me over here that it's a big old T. You can see it's the color of the text, and then you change it to another color. Got it? But that's only when you want an individual change to one part of the text. Other than that, if you move back to the selection tool, now if I color something again, it'll color everything that's in that box. I can't, it's not isolated. So now when I go back here, I have to go back to text, paper, and now everything, because there's no way to isolate one thing unless I actually do it with the type tool. Okay. Oh, I had told you guys to move it over here, so it doesn't matter where you're doing it. I was just showing you. Okay. Now, let's put this up here higher, and notice that there's a size to this frame, right? So this is the frame that holds it. And if I make it bigger or smaller, it makes no difference right now to the text, except watch, when I get so small, here's like getting it kind of right around the size of the box. Fine. Now watch, just watch. I'm going to get it a bit too short. Boom. The text seems to disappear. It hasn't gone anywhere. I'll move it over. If I make it a bit too not wide enough, it might show us a little bit of it or nothing until I give it some space again, right? Or if I go to the corner, then I move both at the same time, you know, big or small. Now, what happens when I make it small? This little box, and this, I'm going to zoom in because you need to see this well. When I see everything that's in there, there's a little box right there that just appears white. This little box is important. Watch what happens when I make it too small. I don't see the text, but this turns into a little plus sign. It's so tiny, you have to do it yourself. I don't think in my projection you can tell. Make it so tiny that the text disappears and you'll see a little plus sign right there. That's the overset text indicator saying, I have more text here than you can see, which in this case is the whole word, but I could have had 3 words and I'm hiding one. And maybe it says happy day, and you hide the word day and it says happy and it looks fine because the word happy makes sense. Now, if it says I am Diana, and then you just hide Diana, I am, you're on what, right? But you need to know. And the way that you know that something's missing is if there's a little plus sign in that box. Okay, so that plus sign says, whoops, it's not that it's empty, it's just too small. I need to expand it. Good. There's another thing that text box does. We'll show it in a minute, but you want it to be empty like that to make sure that you're actually working with the right word. All right, so that's just a little bit about the text doc. There's some other handles there and stuff that we can have some questions about, but right now I just want to make sure that we know that we want to kind of give some space. If you make it too small, there we go. If I make it just the right size to go around this text, what happens when I go ahead and make this text bigger? So right now it says 72 points. And if I go to the automatic choices, that's as big as it gets. But if I want to get any bigger than that, I can just go in here. I can just select in here and write 200, for example. But when I wrote 200, did anything change yet? I wrote 200, but nothing changed. So nothing changes until I actually hit the return or enter key. Boom, that made it happen. So what happened is my box was too small. So I need to go grab the box and make it bigger. Oof, there it was, 200. Now I see it, okay? Because if you make a text box too small and you're still playing with the size, it just doesn't show. So make the text box bigger until you have the right size that you want it, and then you can make it smaller, okay? So now let's make this text box, this text be, you know, kind of a bit bigger than my red box. So if I don't really know what that means, you know, how do I make this bigger than that box? Another thing I can do is, you know, click on these little bottom or up arrows, and it goes one by one down, right? Up and one down, but that's too slow. You know, 200, 192, 193, 191 is really slow. So watch, if I want to use these arrows but faster, I can hold down the shift key and then they go down by 10 points each time. So I can quickly jump up and down. Holding down the shift key, I can go up 10 points or down 10 points, which helps move a bit faster so that I can decide, well, about that big. Otherwise, my new little 1x1s, it would take a while to go from 200 to 70. Does that make sense, you guys? So holding down the shift key, you get a big faster ups and downs. I'm gonna go ahead and make it be, let's say, what's that? Hold down the shift, hold it down. And now when you point to these arrows to make bigger or smaller, instead of going 1x1,
Okay.
it goes 10 by 10. Okay, it's just a way to use this while you're trying to decide things, right? Now, there's one final place. Let's make it really big again. Make it really big. Either by typing in 200 or just by hold the shift and go up and down a bit. Make it really big. And now there's one final way in which you can make things bigger or smaller that might be even easier than heading down there. And that's if I now, hold the corner of my box and I hold shift and command, or for PC people, shift and control. So hold both shift and command down first. Keep them head down, keep them held down. And now grab the corner and make it bigger. And if you look over here, I went up to 332. By the way, I can do it with any corner. I can do it to this corner and it went down. I can move it over a bit. I can do it from the bottom and make it smaller. Any side, any of the handles work as long as I'm holding both shift and command for the Mac, control for the PC. So that allows me to just resize what's inside together with the frame. Does that make sense? So then I'm not worrying if it's 168 or 149. I'm just making it look good. Does that make sense? So sometimes when you have no idea if you want to go 20, 40, or 80, just physically, so to say, move it around until you go, that's about right. And then you go, oh, that's 100. Like, you don't have to know. You just make it look good. And if you, for any reason, need a specific size, then everyone tells you put in 78, put in 78. But if you don't know, this is a better, more graphic way to decide what's the right size for this document, for this shape. So now I'm going to leave it at about, I'm going to end up having it about 70-ish, 80-ish, something like that. And I'm saying that to give you an idea of the target, but that's good enough around there, around yay big. Okay. And up until now, all I've done is work with size and color. We haven't even talked font style yet. Right now, it's just size and color. So let's go ahead and make it about yay size-ish. How's it going? Everyone managed to make their text get bigger or smaller together with their, so Jesse had to go command and shift with one hand. Remember, it's two hands on keyboard to make things work in this program. So hold it down first, command and shift. Good. Now grab this corner of this box. Oh, you had to have it selected first. So first select. Now command and shift. Now grab any of the handles and stretch. And you make, keep it held down. Keep that held down. Now make it smaller and bigger and just play around. It was a bit easier for me because I first had my box kind of near, so it didn't have so much empty space. Now, when you hold down command and space, you can make it really small. Does that make sense? If you grab it from here and fold this up, that's also. Okay, so then when you're done with knowing how to handle things, because we're going to use that a lot, we're going to resize things a lot. And so command and shift also works to resize photographs together with the frame, boxes together with the frame. It basically joins the frame and the content into one. And when you move to the frame, it moves whatever's inside it. Does that make sense? It's just kind of, it's like a melds the two pieces together.
I'm gonna ask, a question. What do you call the frame? The outside or the inside?
Outside is the frame. Imagine a picture frame, right? I don't know, I have this here always. That's the frame, that's the picture. That's the frame, that's the content. The frame is the holder, the content, in this case is text. Other times it's gonna be a photo.
Okay.
Other times it's just a red box, which we thought was all in a red box, but now I'm telling you that red box really has a frame that holds it and a fill of red. So everything and in InDesign is held by a frame, no matter what it is. And that frame can be handled with a selection tool to make it bigger, smaller, whatever, but it doesn't always make what's inside bigger, smaller, the content stays there. So to make them both work at the same time, you have to add the command and then it moves in the shift and then they move together, okay? Sometimes you might not see the frame, but in this case, just looking at this red box, I'm gonna make it a bit bigger so you can see it. Just look at this red box. And this is red, but it has a little blue line there. That red box doesn't have a stroke. That's the frame that's holding it. It's just that when it's a rectangular box, the frame looks exactly the same shape as the box because it's also rectangular. So you might not see it, but in this case, the frame is a box and so you see it. People who have been with me in Illustrator and stuff know that. Let me again show you one other example. Again, I'm trying to move forward to getting everything done, so don't do this, but let me show you that if I click and hold this this shape and choose to make a circle instead of a thing, and I make it and I fill it with let me just show you this, and I fill it with blue. Now it's easier to tell. This is a box. In this case, it's a circle, it's equivalent, it's just a different
the
shape,
box
but
has
the
that.
frame is still rectangular.
Okay, got
It doesn't match. This frame is like the basket that holds the egg. But you see it here because it's not the same shape. You don't see it in a rectangle for the simple reason that it's the same shape,
it.
right?
Yes.
But if I fill it, it happens to be the same shape, so you think it's not there. But yeah, that there is the frame that holds a
Yes, I
rectangle,
get it.
that there is, it's called the bounding
Now
box.
I
It's the frame. In Illustrator, we call it bounding box, and design, we call it the frame. It's just what holds it. And this is the frame that holds the text, okay? So everything has, every element has a frame that holds it. Does that example make it a bit clearer?
And the frame is always the one to act.
The frame is the one that you modify with the black selection tool, because it's these little boxes that the box has that allows me to modify, right? And so I make things bigger, smaller, whatever, like I did with a rectangle. Now with text, it's a bit different. If I hold the frame only on its own and try to make it bigger, it doesn't care about, it just leaves the text behind. So if I want it to move it at the same time, then I have to do Control Shift and then they both move at the same time, okay? So that's frame and content. So yeah, thank you, because that description or that explanation helped you see that a little bit better, that these are two different things.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so now I'm gonna move over here again. And okay, so size and color of text, we got that one pretty clear. What's the other element that matters in text? In text, we want to have definitely a size, definitely a color.
Texture.
You want to have your font, right? You want to figure out what your font is.
A font, exactly. The style of my text. That's what a font is, the style, the design of my text, so to say. Now, watch, I'm going to purposely, I'm making this little frame basically about as big as the text. So just watch this for a second. I'm going, again, demo time, don't do this yet. When I go over here and I select the text box, I see that it has a name, Minion Pro, that's a design. Watch what's going to happen. You click on this arrow, and this isn't about choosing, you all probably have done this before, but look, if I'm going to choose a font, that all I did was change the font. But my box, my frame was so right on top of the other font that this font happens to have a design that even though it's still the same size, it hasn't changed. That font is a bigger design. Does that make sense? Fatter design. So you don't want to have your frame be right around your text until you've decided this is what I want. At first, if your text is too like scrunched into that box, the moment you change font, it's not going to work. So let's make that frame a little bit bigger as we discover what kind of text we actually want to choose. So make the font bigger so that as we flip around through different fonts, it would always still fit. There's others that are smaller, right? There's different kinds, but we want to make sure that whatever we choose, it's going to fit. So make that frame just a little bit bigger in order to have it fit. And now let's start talking about font style. So first, all I want is stretch out your text box a bit. I just wanted to show you the text box in and out, and that's why I forced you there. But in reality, when you're searching for a font, you want some space, bigger and wider, right? So make it also a bit down wider, because if all you do is make it like, a little bit bigger in that sense, it might not fit. So make it bigger and wider, give yourself that space. And now let's play with font styles. Okay, so let's talk about font styles. When I click in this arrow, I get a whole box. I'm having a hard time because I'm gonna have to show you the entire screen because not everything is showing. Okay, I'm gonna have to reshare to the entire screen because otherwise you're not seeing the box. So let me do the whole desktop. Okay, there we go. I try to not share the whole desktop because it's harder for people on Zoom to see it. But watch, when I click on this arrow typewriter, I get a whole box. And I need to move one of my boxes out of the way because I don't see my box. And put it on this place. Okay. All right. So this is the box that pops up the moment I click this arrow. Now, this box, if you've never used InDesign, might look a bit different for you. You just might see some words. I happen to have a little subset up here, and it just means that I've used these fonts lately. So it's kind of like the ones you recently used pop themselves up there. If you've never changed fonts, you might have nothing up here yet, right? But you might. I'm just saying it will look a bit different. But for sure, once you're done with all these boxes, you'll start having them by alphabetical order. The first one is ACA, right? So if I click on Academy, that changes to Academy. Now, since I chose it and I go up here, notice that now Academy is up at the top of my recently used ones, but it's still there. So that's how the recently used works. The last one I used is going to drop out. Chelsea and Market I used a while ago. They're going to drop out when I now choose Acumen Pro and I go choose that. Now Acumen Pro is at the top and those begin to, after, I don't know how many it takes. I think it takes like 10 before they stop dropping out. So they start attaching themselves to the top, but really this is where they all start happening. So now what if I want to choose a font that's way down, like the name is Palatino. It's like, whoa, between the A and the P, there's a ton of fonts. So I can also click in here and, change that by writing it. So I click in here, and the moment I click, the whole thing selects itself, and I'm going to write Palatino. And since I know the name, I only get Palatinos, right? And so then I go, I'm going to hit Palatino, and it changed to Palatino. So if you know the font name that you're heading towards, it's easier to write it than to scroll through all the way from A to Z. But that said, when I scroll in here, I put my mouse in here, I can scroll, like if you have a scroll button, you can scroll up and down. Otherwise you go up and down, A, B, C, D, all the way down to the P. Then you can do that until you get to Palatino, which at first, when you don't know names, you kind of have to do that. Now, if I don't click, if I just hover over the names, see how my words, my text here is changing, right? Because it's giving me what's called a live preview over here, right? So I can hover over this and go, yeah, no, maybe, how about that one? Yeah, no, maybe, right? As I choose different ones until I sit on the one that I do want. Now, notice two things, that here in the text box, I have some like skip, or no, what am I holding on to? Silam that has no arrow. And then I have others that do have arrows. See that when I call by arrow is that tiny little thing. Remember before in layers that collapses or constrains. So let's see what this is. If I click on that little arrow for Rockwell, oh, it means that there's 4 types. There's number 4 types of Rockwell. There's Rockwell bold, or there's Rockwell italic, or Rockwell regular. Now over here, there's a number 2. If I open this up, oh, there's only 2. There's only serif regular or italic. If I scroll up, you'll see that some have a ton, and let me go find at the top. Here I have, look, 16 of this one. I click on that. Whoa, regular, bold, display, medium. These are all Minion variables. Does that make sense? Different versions of Minion. Minion Pro has 3, Menlo has 4. So not in the world of design, of real design, where Illustrator or Photoshop and InDesign reside, you use the fonts that the designer who designed that font created. Like if you use a program like Word or Excel or any of those, you hit the B for bold and it all gets fatter. You hit the I for italics and it all kind of slants over. But that's a real distortion of the font. That's not the real font. The designer might have never designed an italic for that font, but Word is going to go, I'm going to push it sideways. In these programs, the only options are, if the font was designed in italics, then you'll have a version. If it designed in regular, if it was designed in bold. But what if you want this font to be bold and italics, then it has to have been designed in bold and italics, right? But if you go to marker felt, it's only thin or wide. That's it. There's no italics for this one. So you're not going to have a little I to turn it into italics. Does that make sense? You got to go with what the designer chose. Now, Adobe has come with some, Adobe, all the programs have some installed in the program. So when you open this InDesign, you have, I don't know how many are here, 300 fonts, right? But what if none of those 3, and those come without you doing anything else. But what if none of those 300 are what you want? You got a lot of choices, but you know what? I'm picky. I don't want any of these. So then are there other ones that I can choose? And yes, there are more. Let's everyone say that, so hover over a bunch. Oh, but you want it to stick? You actually have to actually click. Then it shifts. Now it went to Bada Boom Pro. I like the name of that one. Bada Boom Pro BB. Okay. Now, if this one has choices, those choices will be down here. Regular or, oh, looks like this one comes in regular and italic. Good. That's where I would choose the regular or italic. If I click on Bada Boom Pro and instead hover over this one that has, I don't know, one that has many choices, this one that has Kohinoor Telugu has 5 choices, right? And I choose that one. Then when I go down here, I have 5 choices, either Kohinoor light, mediums, bold, or semi-bold. I'm going to choose one of those. Okay. So go ahead and see that how that works, because those are where your choices appear when you want to do them. Now, what if I've searched and I don't want any of these? Or I have no idea how to choose. There's so many, just scroll through over these. So what kind of helpful hints do I have to scroll through these, right? So over here under the word filters, I can click on a filter and it helps me classify my fonts a little bit, because really, I don't know how many are here, 300, 500. What if I say, well, I do know that I want a handwritten font. And if I hover over this, these are handwritten fonts, or I do know that I want a script font. So let's go to handwritten. I'm going to click on handwritten just one time. And now the choices went down to just these 6, or well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. And if I hover over this one, or this one, or this one, they're all fonts that make my text look like it's been handwritten. Does that make sense? So I can do a subset of all my fonts to find only the ones that are kind of what I'm looking for anyway. Or I go back to my filter and I go, no, I don't want that. I really want my script fonts. So then I click over here and looks like I have like 10 or 12 different zip font, script fonts. And I try a couple of different ones and I go, oh, maybe this one, maybe that one. So see how it's much easier to find fonts amongst those hundreds of fonts when you do a little bit of filtering. That said, don't forget they're filtered, because you go looking for your Palatino, it's not going to be there. Why? Because the filter is still on. So if you want to turn this filter off, you need to either clear that or click on it again, and that kind of clears it. Now, what if you want, instead of the type of font, like here we have sans serifs. What does sans serif mean is that the fonts are pretty straight. They don't have those little like floating edges versus a serif. And the serif does have, see those little kind of extra little flaps? That would be a serif font versus a sans serif font, which is French. Sans means no. French for no font, no serif, and the serif means that the line is going to end up straight, right? So again, if you're doing a title, a headline, something like that, you might go, no, I know that I want it to be a serif font. And what if you want it to be a serif font, but you want it to be bold? So then you go to serif and bold, because remember, not all fonts have bold. Right, and so then when you do that, now you've a sub of all serif fonts that have a bold version, right? If it doesn't have a bold version, it's not there. So that kind of helps you the properties, or it's take that off and say that you want serif fonts that have compressed, condensed versions of themselves. This is regular or compressed, and so then you're down to, there's only one, this serif font that has a condensed version, and see how there it appears. All right, so when you have a lot of things like that, it end up being like, I want to see everything, just clear it all and you're back to seeing all your fonts. Okay, did everyone search and filter and see choices and sub choices? Oh yeah, yeah, some fonts are not fonts, some fonts are just text. So if I hover over this, let me actually, I think down at the bottom, give me the names of some of those.
No, you went into the filter.
Here,
and you
some
went
of-
into the M
That's
on
okay,
the
some here, like Wingdings. Some fonts are just designs. Okay, so if I choose the font called Webdings, that bizarre thing that's happening there is that in that font, when you type a D, you get the down thumb. When you type an I, you get that. When you type an R, you get a little mailbox. It's a font that's just it's kind of a glyph font, which is an icon font. These icon fonts, there's a ton of them. It's really a good way to put in icons in the internet for web use. A font is much smaller than a piece of art, but it's kind of weird. It's like, what's that? Well, if you were to type an L, a different art would come up here. There's a way to discover what the glyphs are. I'm not going to go there because I have too much to teach you today, but you can find out. If I open this font, where are my drawings? Oh, I want the little, tree. But for now, if you see little drawings, just avoid them. Or if you see little boxes that appear like that, it's just that it's not something that can be resolved or handled. So it's all right. Just ignore it.
Deanna, could you please show how you got to the filters?
Okay, so when you open your box, at the very top of them, there's the filters. Like, so just go change your font. And when you have a font arrow, when you click on that arrow to supposedly go find another
Oh, I
font,
see it.
very
Okay,
top,
thank you.
there's the filter choice.
The dot and the
What?
arrow. You don't have that little.
Oh, the little light that's
Yeah,
through.
it's
let me ch-
really hard to see. from
Every
the
time I
other.
reshare it, there we go. There's my mouse. Okay.
Sorry.
No, thanks for pointing it out. Okay, so now that we've discovered different ways of using the filters, what about when none of these do what I want? If none of these fonts do it, I checked them all. Now I don't like any one of them. Well, yay. There's up here, above the filters, next to the fonts, you see this thing that says find more?
Yeah.
Adobe, the entire application, all of them. When I say Adobe, it's not just for InDesign, anything in Adobe, has like 100,000 fonts available for you. But fonts take up a lot of space in your computer, so it doesn't give you access to 100,000 fonts to start with. It just gives you a subset of like, whatever, 300. I'm guessing. I don't know how many there are there. So if you want to find more, it's going to connect you to the internet, to its font foundry, to see all the fonts available that you could like. And if you want it, then it just downloads into your computer, right? So let's click on find more. And when you go to find more, wow, I mean, when you start scrolling up and down, it's interminable. I'm scrolling, I'm still in the A's. I'm scrolling, I'm in the A. I haven't left the A's yet. Ooh, finally hit the B's. You see how many fonts are? I mean, it's, so you have to click the find more.
I don't think they said the font are temporarily unavailable for the creative cloud. I mean, they're not.
Activate. Huh. Okay, it goes through the Creative Cloud. It, nothing, huh? How about at home? Nothing, so we know at home. You guys-
Yeah, at home we got them, or I do.
So there must be, how about everyone at home? Do you, give me a yes or let me know. At home, you're all getting access to it?
Yep.
Okay, so there's
Yes.
probably something that's happening here with it's got to go to the internet to find them, right? So good news, we'll use the font that we have, but let me show you then what to do, because yeah, there's something probably, because what it's doing literally is going to the Adobe font place to bring them down. So just watch this little bit. It's giving you hundreds of options, but notice that to the right of them, there's a little cloud way over here. It shows a little cloud. It's going to the cloud to find them. So here's the thing. What if I decide that I want this one? What's it called? I Adore You. And there's two versions of them, right? I can see. If I want it, then look what's happening. I can click, first of all, when I sub-select any of these with just a hover, the little cloud turns into this little like down icon. See that? So say that I say I want the I Adore You font. I click on the I Adore You font, right there. And for those of you at home, maybe it already went and downloaded it, but here, notice every time I click on it, just read what it says over there. And I'm going to just click on something. Well, let me scroll it up a bit higher so you can see what I'm talking about. When I click on it, see it says click activate button to activate fonts. It means if you're at home, you might have it automatic, but if you clicked on it, it already happened. But over here, and when I click on Adobe, this is what it's asking me to do. It's asking me to activate it. So let me actually, it's showing them to me here. Let me go over here. I'm going to go Adobe Thigh. I click on this little download. See how it suddenly says activate? That's my activate button. I click on that and it says activate for fonts and I'll say, okay. And it's downloading it. It's taking a minute. There, boom, check mark. It downloaded it. You see that? Now, if I don't go to the find more, now if I go to just the regular fonts, what was it called that I activated? Just to make sure it's called, I activated the I Adore You. Okay, or no, I activated this one. I activated the Adobe Adobe Thigh. So now if I go to my fonts and if I go to my Adobe, let me see, Adobe Thigh, it's no, A, B, C, D, Adobe. I don't know where it's going to show up there. It's going to take a few minutes, but over here I can say search only my activated fonts. And so these are activated fonts. These are fonts that I have activated from the internet. See how they all of this over the different times that I've been teaching this class. I seem to have activated quite a few fonts. Now I don't see Adobe. Something's happening here at home in this school right now that the fonts aren't downloading. And I think there's probably some block in our text.
I think it also takes a while because mine hasn't popped up yet, but I did get the,
It'll pop in or it's not
Yeah.
working because for the other computers it's not working. But that's how you would do it, right? Now, you would activate it. There's another way to activate these fonts, and let me show you really for a second here, because I don't want you guys to do this again, too much to teach today, just showing you. If at home, if you want to have a better way to choose a font, you can go to the internet and just go to Adobe Fonts, right? And it takes you to this page. When you're in the Adobe Fonts page, every single photo font available appears here, and it's thousands, right? So let's say that I want to browse through my fonts. I'm going to click on browse all fonts. And what it's going to do is it brings me to this page. It's really slow. My whole internet is going really slowly today. And what it's doing is, this is you went to the mother load, right? You have every single font available here. Similar to before, you can choose show me only serifs or only hands or only scripts. So say that I say show me only handwritten fonts again, because there's less of them, so it's easier. Usually there's not that many. So over here, what I see is a ton of handwritten fonts. See there? And say that I go, ooh, I really love Milonga Sentimental. There we go. I'm Argentinian, and Milonga is an Argentinian music. So I'm going to click on this to see what this one looks like. It opens up and it shows me samples of this font. Look at that. Barrio de San Pedro. There's, by the way, Anna is also from Argentina here. I rarely have an Argentinian in my class. And so we're laughing because these are all like Argentinian examples. It's so funny. You wouldn't understand it, but never mind. This is a type of music we have. This is a traditional barrio. Never mind, a neighborhood. The whole point is it shows you samples of that font. I can keep going and seeing it used in different areas. And I go, okay, this is clearly not a font that I would use if I want a lot of text to be readable, right? But if I want a fancy text, I can see it. And here it shows me the versions of it. And I can put my own text and say, well, I want to see what my name looks like in this. I'm going to write my name in this. And it shows, ooh, that's what your name's like looks in this font. So, and I go, well, what about if it looks bigger? And I go, okay, now how about small? Ooh, small, I can really not read it. I go, oh yeah, this is definitely the font I want. Guess what? I can either activate it from here or I can activate it from here. So I activate it and it says you've activated Milonguita Regular. If everything is working, and you have to activate each type. You want the font that's the, you know, the bold, the regular, whatever, you would have to activate each one. When you go back to InDesign, if it's all working, and again, I'm not sure that the thing is happening quickly, you would go in here and you would be able, let me see if it came down, that would be probably a bit too soon, but cancel. Let me see if I now look for Milonguita. It came in, look at that. It allows me to select, there we go. Now I brought it in from the actual font foundry. Do you see that? This, I assure you, was not here before. And that's what Discover looks like in that font. I had to download that font from Adobe and it came in. So I'm not sure if it's not working. Right now, I'm not going to bother trying, but I just wanted to show you the process of accessing tens and hundreds of thousands of fonts versus whatever 300 that we have in here. You would activate it either from here or from the Adobe Fonts website. By the way, when you go to the Adobe Fonts website, I'm already signed in, but it'll first make sure just to have you sign in to your Adobe account to allow you to do this, right? Maybe that's what's happening here because you guys are in this school account and not an individual one, and that's why it's not letting you do it. I'm just guessing. Okay. All right, so now, no, I do not want that one. The font that I want us to use today is actually I say Didot, I don't know, it's D-I-D-O-T, these names. So let's select in there, everyone, in that right, Didot. And oh, it's not finding it as an activated fonts. I have to turn off the activated fonts. And there it is, Didot, bold. And I'm gonna click on Didot bold. Do you guys have Didot? Did that one, that's not, I'm trying to make sure it's okay. And so you're choosing Didot bold. All right. Did everyone find it at home too?
In bold?
Yeah, choose the bold version.
No matches found.
Well, then go and see if you have to download it. It's weird because if everyone has it here, it should mean that it came in, but I don't know. Let me do the clear. It's possible. Oh, you know what could be finding when you said no matches found? It could be that you left some filter on, right? And so it's only looking for Didot under this or that. So make sure you clear all your filters and that you are not searching, say, activated fonts or anything. Make sure that you turn all these off.
Didot bold, Didot italic, and Didot regular showed up on the list.
What's that?
The Didot showed up. The choices are bold, italic, and regular.
Yeah, so let's go for bold. Okay, yeah, when you have filtered it, it's only searching amongst the handwritten for Didot. It'll say no matches found. Clear all your filters, and then it'll search through all your fonts. Does that make sense? Yeah, is it time? So Moni, yeah, go ahead. You didn't find it? All right.
No, I don't have it, but don't worry about it. Keep going.
But it's important. Did you clear all your filters?
Yeah, I cleared everything. I don't
Okay.
have any fonts that between C and E. There's no Ds.
Okay,
I don't worry about it. Just keep
Alright.
going.
so find something that looks
Yeah.
this-ish. I don't know, choose it.
Yeah.
You don't need to have exactly the font I choose. If you want to find another one, find another one. That's the one that I'm gonna use for this example, but hey, have fun. Put another font, you guys. But yeah, hopefully it's a temporary thing. All right. Let's go ahead and okay, so now you know a ton about finding fonts. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and begin to use fonts. We're gonna write something else down here. And we're going to either make another text box, or you can also just remember how to duplicate things. I could just hold down my Option or Alt key, duplicate it, and then just change the font here in the text for another one. Either way, I'm just showing you shortcuts, but you can also just go to the T, make another box, and let's write something else, right? So I'm going to do that and go to the T, and I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to make a box in this area because I'm going to write something in there. And I'm going to write then New Zealand. So New Zealand, I'm going to do in uppercase. Hit the caps lock and write New Zealand. Now, since I, instead of dragging it down, started with a new one, now I do need to begin by making it bigger, which, you know, you guys already had it big if you duplicate it. So either way, it doesn't matter. It's just a different way to start. I'm going to go up to like something bigger. I don't know, 48, just make it bigger. Oh, I want to have it. I said I wanted an uppercase and I didn't do that. So let me hold the caps lock and write it again. New Zealand. And I'm gonna, so now, yes, I'm gonna want it again. I'm gonna hold on to my box and make it white. I'm gonna go to the frame, to the text and make it paper. Again, if you duplicated it, you already had it white and paper, but since I decided to start from 0, I wanted white and paper. And now let's go see if we have a text called Roboto. Click in here and ROBOTO, and I am seeing that I don't have it. And since many of you guys won't be able to bring it, basically what it's one of the ones that I would have had to told you how to download, but I can't because we don't have it. So let me find a different one. So now just make another text box underneath over the red. And we're finding that this font isn't there. So let me find a different one. Okay, so forget Roboto and let's go find, to clear it out, you need to clear that name, right? So over here, I'm going to take that name out. And what I want is a non-definite. I'm going to go to the filters and I want a sans serif. Okay, I do not want a serif. And I want it to be thin, to have a thin version. So over here, I want a lightweight version, just trying to imitate the one that I wanted us to have. And so now it's giving me these choices and I'm going to hover, and this probably looks a little bit like it. So does everyone have, I don't know, choose the one you want. I'm going to go with, I don't know, Montserrat. The original, I want a thin one here. There's a pretty thin one. Let's see. Was this one thin? It's really lagging. Since it's not the one we have, I'm letting you choose. I'm just wanting to go with a thin, with a lightweight non-serif. So I'm going to end up choosing that one, Gill Sans Light. But you guys go to the filter. I'm wanting you to now use that filter mode. Go to your filter, click on filter, choose a sans serif that's light. Okay, and then you hover over only whatever 20 available. And I ended up choosing Gill Sans Light, but you choose whatever you want. That's my point. Since we don't have Roboto, do some searching, use the search feature that I just told you and choose one, you don't need to go on side and back. Sorry, I moved your chair. Okay. So, select this box. Did you put the box in the contact one? So go over here to Minion Pro, choose, see that, go click the IDOT. Just type. There it is. Choose that one. Okay, and now you're gonna have to, well, make this smaller, make it like 80. 80. Then make new box underneath. Red, make the turn. Now maybe the box, text box here. Stop. Now make the text box there and change it into, if you want, just choose Jill or Gil, I don't know how to pronounce it, Sons. What's that? Type in New Zealand.
Yeah, I need to go back to the red box to increase it because my New Zealand didn't fit.
Yeah,
And I
so
can't-
grab the box and make it, just drag it out, and make it bigger.
It's locked, remember? And I don't know how to go back there.
Oh, no, we're not gonna change, don't worry about the box size. You mean the red box? It's-
Yes.
We haven't, you could be doing this out here. We're gonna resize the boxes. Right now, I just told you guys to do a red box yesterday. I don't tell you what size, right? So it doesn't,
Okay,
just find a New Zealand if you want to design it up here. And what we want to do is we want to make it quite a bit smaller than the Discover. So right now I have it at 48 points. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my, I don't even know what size I now want it at. So again, Shift and Command, and I'm going to make it kind of smaller and smaller. I want it to be about, I don't know, maybe quite a bit smaller because it's a sub headline. But notice that as I make it smaller, see how it's becoming kind of like the letters are on top of each other? I want to make a bit more space inside of them. So I'm going to make it smaller. So at this point, I'm down to like 28-ish points. But what I want is to stretch out the space that's in between them. And that is down here. There's this little icon here is the tracking. It helps us stretch out the space. Okay, so I'm gonna start adding, and this one goes in the hundreds, so watch. I'm gonna go over here to this back arrow of this thing that says 0. Click on that, and I'm gonna go make less space, and look what's gonna happen. We're gonna get teens. You see how tight they got? If I make less space, they all kind of got on top of each other. Or I'm gonna make a ton more space. So this is less space. This is back to normal. Then I go back here and I say a ton more space, like 200. And see how I have a ton of space between them? That's called tracking, the space between the letters, okay? Space between the letters. So I'm gonna go ahead and find somewhere in between, I don't know, I'm gonna try like 75. That looks good. I don't know, I'm just choose your sizes, something that has a bit of distance, because depending on your font, you might have a different distance. And now when you put it down here, if you had taken it up, then what we want is to have it be about as big-ish as the V. Again, this is all we need to decide, I can tell you what to do, but in the end, you're the one who's going to end up designing this on your own, right? So my ideal would be that this would be a real subtitle. So about as big as the V. Maybe I need to make it a tad bigger. I'm going to go to 36. So you play around until you like what you have, right? And 36, that's a bit too big. Maybe I'll end up with like 30. Let me see, 30. 30. That sounds about right. Okay. But again, you might have chosen a different font, so it might not be exactly 30 for you. Now, the red box, I'm going to want to modify, but as Vera said, it's locked. So how do I modify the red box now? What do I need to do?
So I Okay, then I go in.
I need to go to my layers, unlock my layers, right? Open up, select my red box. Yeah, and now, see how it was nice to have it locked because as we were playing around with text, nothing was moving. But now that I need access to it, I go and unlock it. And now I'm gonna make that box be, you know, kind of like that-ish around the word New Zealand. Now I'm going to go ahead and hit the W because I want to see it. It's so hard. See how hard with all these lines? How do you tell if it's good or bad? There's a mess. Boom. You do that and it's like, oh, that's what it's looking like. And now I can tell that my New Zealand maybe isn't really centered in that box. So maybe I need to move the box up a little bit. Does that make sense? When you really are working with stuff and everything is in the way, you can't tell if it looks good. So as long as you are trying to figure out if your design looks good, you got to hit W. And then I go, oh yeah, the box is a little bit not centered, so I can move the box up or the text down. So I'm going to move the box up a tad, use the arrow keys and I move it a little bit over. And then I'm like, well, maybe I should make it a bit smaller so that it kind of has an even box all around it. And I click away and I kind of like that. Maybe Discover should be a bit closer. Maybe move it over there. Oh, that's good. Maybe I want both of these to be a bit closer, right? So then I have to just select all of this. So then I have to click maybe first on the box, then on this box, then on the text, because it's three things, you know, and I just move it all down. So you just kind of decide. And so now I can move all three down. But, okay, so in this case, if I try to select all three together and I drag like this, select them all together from the air, what did I also select is I also selected the background. So I don't want that. So now what I might want to do is, okay, I'm going to just lock the background again, right? Because the slate big background up here. And now I can just click and drag and select all of these, and then I can move them all down together. So that's why you want to have the access to the lock and unlock, because that gives you a chance to. Yeah, but sometimes it's hard because New Zealand and this box individually are hard to select, right? Because you would, so the easiest way would be, like, if you want to grab New Zealand, but you also want to grab this box, the other box pops in, and how do you get to that one? You know, it's hard. So that's when this is really awesome. But let me show you here. It's very hard to do shift and click on the box plus the text plus that because the bounding boxes are in the way. Sometimes if they're separate, you can do that. If you just want like New Zealand and Discover, you can do that, but then it'll be hard to choose that. So the best way when you have these elements that are all like that is to use the layers. And I'm going to click, I want New Zealand, hold down shift. I also want the Discover. Those words appear because I wrote them, and I also want the red box. So I'm holding down the shift, and that allowed me to select all those three elements. Now I can just let go of select and shift and now move them all as one big chunk. Does that make sense? Now I do want to have the margins on because I want to put the text maybe touching the margin, and then to see the margins, I had to do the W. Now I let go, and then I look it away and I go, okay, I'm liking it now. So when you want to see if you like the design, you definitely have to turn off the guides. But if you're sure that the text has to go to the margin, then you need to turn them on again, right? And then you turn them off. And so it's an on and off on these for when you need and when you don't need them. But again, to select things individually, when they're on top of each other, the easiest thing is to use the layers. Click on the box you want, hold shift, click on the next one that you want, hold shift, click on the next one you want, hold shift. What's that? Unclick, just some neutral area, click away on the pasteboard or something, and you unclick them. And now I'm going to say Command 0, and that's about the design. That's about the cover-ish, the design. Okay, so try to imitate something ish to what I have there, and then go around and do that. So where are we doing the deers? So hit the W to just a single one time. Tap the W. Oh, you're in text mode. Yeah, you can text mode. Once you wrote the step one, you're going to text mode. And now tap the W. So you can see things, and now you can see that Discover maybe it's slower, maybe the the box for New Zealand has to move because New Zealand is not centered in the box, so select New Zealand and move it over a bit, then grab the text, and bring it to the middle, down, so it centers itself on the box. You know, move it over, right, so you have, kind of visually centered. Then grab Discover and maybe put it nearer, kind of make it look a bit nearer to it. And then in my case, I grab those. But play around with that until you like what you have. Okay, click on the lock graphic. Click on it, yeah. Okay, and now, because you had locked them individually, you have to unlock them individually too. So go in and lock the red box, but leave maybe the slate and the two that are fine, unlock, yeah, there you go. And now you'll have access. Now you can go and access the red one and the Discover and move them together. You're in the text field, so remember to grab your flag. Cool. Now you can grab everything and move them as if they were boxes. Cool. I would actually, because of the design, I would actually leave that where it was and start bringing things down a bit more, just to and make the box smaller to go around New Zealand. Go. I kind of have Discover right on top of it. Make the box for New Zealand first a bit smaller. Again, by the way, this is the part where if you're the designer, you choose. I'm giving you a sample of how I want it, but at this point, my goal is to teach you how to work with text and boxes. If you decide that you want New Zealand to be on the right and Discover at the top, that's your choice. I don't need you to imitate this design. Does that make sense? I don't care if you decide to get creative and put the Discover in a different font. I'm modeling one, but at this point, my point is, did you learn how to move the text, how to move the boxes, how to unlock them, how to change the font? Go, be free to make whatever other design that you want. Vera, your hand is up.
Sorry. It's old.
It's from before. Okay,
Yeah.
great. How's it going at home? Everyone's fine?
Yes.
Yeah, yes, if you are pretty much following, give me a little yes, so I can look at everyone and make sure that everyone's doing things. Some of you I haven't heard from at all, and so now Cecilia is saying yes, now I know she's there doing it, right? So give me a couple of reaction buttons so I don't know you're all there. And as I said, I don't need you to design it this way, right? Design it whichever way you want. Just show me that you know how to handle font changes, boxes, guides. I would like things to be aligned in a certain way that I know that you're using your guides. And in this case, I wanted them aligned to the margin, so I did that. You might want them aligned further in. Maybe this seems too far, and in fact, it might seem a bit too far for me. So I'm actually going to move it further in and decide not to use the guide for that because it doesn't seem very centered.
I didn't get the line.
What's that?
How do you get that far with the line?
W. Hit the W. When you hit the W, you stop seeing all the junk that is necessary, but it is also kind of messy, right? So that's how you do that. Okay, when everyone's here, give it a big save. We've been working on it for quite a while. Let's go take a break, and then we're going to bring all our images in. Okay. Now, it took me a while to teach you a lot about the basics of text, but now the next few boxes, the next few pages, we're just going to bring in pictures and text, right? So the other two pages, or there will be what we did, only more at a time. The only difference is that the middle page is going to have also some columns, so we're going to do that. But actually, let me do one last thing before we go on break. Let's do one last thing so we can finish this cover. Let's bring in a picture that we're going to have instead of this slate box. We're going to have a photograph. And I think I showed you originally and maybe some of you guys weren't here yesterday. I wanted to show you what the general end look for our document is going to be. And the end look for the document is going to be kind of like this. And there's going to be some text in the green box. There's going to be a photo over there, but the cover could just be what we have right now too. It doesn't matter. You can keep adding or not adding. So for now, I want to move on to show you how to build the other pages. And then we can go back and decide, well, I'd rather the photo instead of the slate box and that stuff. Other than that, that's my alarm saying break time. Yes. Thank you. I'm giving them break. So actually, let's not do the photo. Let's just go on break, come back, and we'll start building these 2 pages, okay? And then we can choose if we'd rather have more work or less work on the cover, or if we want it to be, you know, a cover without imagery. Or if you're waiting, play around with bringing in a photo, because I want us to work on the interior pages when we get back. So 15 minutes. What time is it? Oh, 11. So be back by 11:15 a.m. There you go. I stop my share. And cool. We're gonna head over to interior pages.
Diana.
Yeah.
Las clases de.
Las clases de
The Mac classes, the intro, they're the. ¿Cuáles son?
the
What would
schedule,
be the-
a veces, muchas veces el schedule es tan viejo que tienen las cosas
Yeah,
mal.
so I wanted to-
Um,
maybe for the past.
Yeah,
I can't
so.
take- I wish I could take all of them, but I have to pick and choose.
No, we're all busy. That's why it takes a while sometimes to.
The intro.
A ver, estoy buscando acá el schedule, que muchas veces el escrito tiene los horarios mal. A ver, en este caso puede que estén bien, pero como tantos cambios se hacen, yo sé que este acá va a estar correcto. Y además, ya que estamos, cuando empiezo la clase se los muestro a los que están ahí atrás para que vean. Estos son los del verano, ok. Entonces, creo que el catálogo esta vez está correcto. Introduction to Mac empieza el 6 de junio y es de 9 a 12:15. Está bien, son todas de 9 a 12:15. 9 a 12:15 las 3. Y una vez que termina la primera, empieza la segunda y después la tercera. O sea que es una por vez, right? So, Introduction to Mac sería la primera. Y yo recomiendo las 3, ¿viste? Pero la que vos fue, fíjate los horarios y cómo te viene.
Y todos son online, ¿no?
Son todas online. So that even if you're traveling and having fun on the beach, let
You
your
take a
family
break.
be on the beach and you go into the dark house and watch the
No,
clouds.
no, no. Nosotros lo que hacíamos eran esas carpas que se ponían en el mar y que vos bajabas en la playa, que acá no existen,
Existe, tenemos unas cajitas
de lonas,
de lona,
que se las
y además
carpas.
una cortinita atrás, si te pones la cortina para cambiar, te vas a la playa.
Oh.
Y te podías cambiar. Cosa que acá lo tendrían que hacer porque allá te los alquilaban.
Sí,
Es
sí,
buena
sí, sí,
gratis.
sí, no, no son tan.
Miren, como acá quieren
Pero
la plata,
alquilás una y tenés la familia de 50 que viene, y un día vienen los tíos, un día los primos, y todo el mundo usa la misma carpa. O si no vas a visitar a los de la carpa en la playa de ahí,
muchos. Como tomábamos mate, o jugábamos con los carabajos de arena, que le jugábamos carreras.
No conocemos ni nada, pero eso es lo que todo el mundo quiso.
Porque había unos escarabajos que eran con una trompita que hacía como un sueño. Entonces le hacíamos una pista en la arena y poníamos cada uno nuestro escarabajo. Entonces jugábamos carreras con los escarabajos. O si no alquilábamos caballos.
That's so much fun.
En nuestra época se podían
tiempos
llevar.
hay que traerlos para atrás, para que-
Uno dice que no volvamos para atrás, otros dicen que vivamos en el presente, otros que vivamos en el presente,
No,
otros
pero
de
recuerda, y de ahí dar lo bueno, porque también todos tenemos lo mismo y nadie puede ser diferente. Entonces, hay cosas que pueden ser buenas o malas. Yo, a mí no me gusta.
Y en
no me
eso
da
se
igual.
ella seguro que donde iba a Mar del Plata, toda la zona costera, se ponían a pescar con los tramallos o con las redes, sacaban los jornalitos, o
Nosotros
agarraban las
nadie de mi familia pescaba, pero íbamos a mirar y después comíamos con íbamos a ver. They had these big nets, they put
Round.
them out of the piers. They pick up thousands of little fish, the sizes smaller than my finger, and you just fry them and eat it like potato chips.
My daughter, it's like a sardine, but it's not sweet. But my daughter went to Spain recently. Se fue a España y me dice, mamá, no sé, porque nunca le gustaba, luego paella española y todo, nunca le gustaba comer. Y me dice, mamá,
Yo hice unos pescaditos, unas sardinas. Digo, no, me parece todo como un porno. Claro, pues.
Son como cornalitos.
Son como carnales. No, no, unas sardinas de bueno, como quieras. La boca le digo, sí, te decía, son cornalitos. Me comía hasta la cabecita, decía, oh my God.
Sí, sí, no, esos son, sí, no, mira que yo no soy, pero son finitos, son así chiquitas. Y en Mar del Plata, en esos lugares, vas a los restaurantes y te sirven como quien dice
Una
papas
pizza.
fritas, pum, y son pescaditos tan chiquitos que no
Sí.
es que te estás comiendo la cabeza nada, es una cosita así frita, y nada, todo lo frito es rico. Entonces, frito y transponer, y ni siquiera tiene mucho sabor a pescado, porque son peces con muy poco sabor, peces carne blanca. O sea, no es que está
No me
con-
digas que no comías las almejas con pasta.
Sí, todo el mundo. They call it here clam.
Hacíamos agujeros
Clams,
en la playa que sacábamos, era todo gratis en esa época, nadie te cobraba
Yeah,
nada.
you just dig in the sand, make your buckets of clams and go home with it.
Pero no en la marea roja,
No, es cierto.
porque te agarras una compostura que no veas ni la puerta del baño.
Sí. Anyway, a ver, ¿cuánto dije? ¿Cuántos minutos quedan? 11 minutos. Hey Siri, set timer for 9 minutes.
9 minutes, counting down.
Muy bien. It will be down. Let me look at what's ahead of us. Ay.
Entonces,
Pero la bolsa se me debe haber derretido una banana o algo porque la bolsa está pegajosa. Voy a tener que ir a lavarme la mano. A ver si me dejo una banana que no como. Cuando la levanto 2 días más tarde se hizo.
oh my God.
La bolsa está al fondo de la...
No, ¿esto lo ponemos en algún palet o algo? No. Porque yo estoy sacando fotos de lo que estamos haciendo, porque esto va a ir a un tablet.
Sí,
No sé.
gracias por acordarlo, no me acordaba. Esto debería ir al tablet. Le voy a poner el vínculo.
Yo estoy sacando
pregunta, ¿no?
Mm.
¿No puedo usar un programa que se llama Grammarly y
Ujú.
poner mi paperwork en el programa? Porque todo aparece como si no tuviera actividad, excepto los files que tú me mandaste.
Tienes que copiar el texto de alguna parte y paste it o upload. Y tenés el account con tu nombre abierto.
Todo igual. Nombre,
Abrí en internet, andate el Grammarly, metí tu información y a ver lo probamos. Pero después, ojo, hoy,
ahora no.
a ver, no, es que hoy termina mi clase. y
Ya
te
tenés
digo,
que estar.
empiezo la otra, o sea que no tengo todo, no muestro, porque hoy no tengo tiempo extra. So, ¿quién está aquí? Vera is here. Molly is here. Sam is here. Who else is at home? Cecilia.
And I added, so I'm probably not on your list.
Oh, that's true. And actually, I had to do that yesterday. I have to remember to add you also to yesterday's.
Yeah,
Monica.
Bucher.
How do you pronounce it? Booker, Booker?
So the American version is Bucher Smith.
Booker.
The Swiss version is Buche. So, you know,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at home. Is it you? One, oh, Bonnie. Barbara.
it's like Vera,
Here, there we go.
Bonnie, Samantha, Cecilia.
Were you here the other day? No.
I wasn't there for the first one.
Okay, and then Norma was here. Norma Graffos. And then Jesse. Moreno didn't sign it. Okay, so it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, because now you're here today. Okay, good. Got it. All right, 5 more minutes. I'm looking at the time. I need to make sure that we get this stuff in. I need to finish with text, get some images in, and then we're good. Hmm.
So just a question. So I created what you had up there. Did you use boxes or did you do frames for the colored things?
I don't remember, but
Okay.
it doesn't really matter because
Okay.
when you place if you were to try to place a photo into a box, it would work anyway.
Okay.
But no, it's a good question. So say that I go into this one. Am I sharing? No.
No.
And technically people aren't here yet, but it's okay.
I'm picking
Yeah,
up a lot of good
reminder.
reminders today.
What's that?
I'm picking up a lot of good reminders for shortcuts. This is awesome.
Yeah, well, because many times when I'm teaching all 3 programs at once and digital design techniques, I can't focus on design. This one is for better or for worse, even though it goes fast, it's a focused and design one. So I can teach you more little,
Great.
details. But say that this was a box, right? Let me make sure it's unlocked. Say that this is a box. Let me just actually make a copy of it that way. Unlock it, make a copy and paste, and I'll just put it up with what's already there. So that and I think I made a box, right? Smaller. So say that I decide to put something into this. And
I mean, I assumed they were boxes because they didn't have the X on.
that I want to put, this isn't one of the images for this thing, but if I put in a box and I say, okay, then it still replaces the frame, right? So, and yeah, you're right. You would, that's a good example. You would have known if it was a box, if it wasn't a frame. That's my one, calling everyone back.
Mhm.
Well, let's call everyone who's still up there so we can get going. What's that?
Do you like Star Wars?
Yeah, That's my son. He put the old, he changed my alarm. Hey guys, we're starting again. Come on back.
Deanna, I still don't have your compelling content video yet.
Well, I gave you access, didn't I?
You did? Because I haven't found it.
And same with Molly, Moni, I gave you all access.
Yeah, I got access.
Let me go see if perchance I'll go see if your access isn't there, but everyone shows up, but I need people to show up because we're shared drives. Compelling content. And manage members. Are you there, Vera? Monica, Vera, you have access, but you know what? Here, let me just grab it for you. Oh, that wasn't it. Let me just grab it for you in case you. And I'll put it on the an email. So these are the,
Thank you.
you're well, but go check and see if you have access because there's good stuff in that one. So Vera. Videos or whatever, recording, you know what I mean? And there you go. So I just sent it. All right, let's keep going. Guys, first of all, don't forget to do a screenshot. And oh, I already had it open. And give me an update on your covers that we've done up until now, okay? Which it wouldn't seem like we've done so much between yesterday and today, but we basically learned a ton about text, right? And all we did physically is put in the word discover in New Zealand. But the whole point, I don't want you guys to end up with a finished product not knowing what you did. I want to teach you when you go on your own to know how to find fonts, change their sizes, do everything. And so that's why sometimes it seems things take a while, but I'm trying to get you to know the depth of the program. I wanted to comment to the people who weren't here. Something that Sam said, I'm going kind of deeper into how InDesign works here. So for someone who's new to this, it might seem overwhelming, but it's just that we're kind of digging deep here. But for those people who are not new to this, they're learning a ton of stuff they didn't know. So just don't worry, if you're new, relax, you know, with repetition, these things get there and with practice, right? So if you take like the digital design techniques class, it's a more surface level explanation of it. And then here I'm kind of going deeper. So take next time it comes around, take the other one. Oh, which reminds me, I believe you had asked, is it here? Oh, did I lose it? Yeah, I think I lost it. You had asked about the catalog. Let me go really quickly. I changed the page. The summer classes, I'm not going to see you again. Okay, so let me show you in case you're interested in summer classes. The fall schedule is already there too, but let me show you the summer schedule. What I'm going to teach is, in fact, the one I was just mentioning, digital design techniques. So I'm teaching the 3 intro to the Mac classes, mornings, Tuesdays and Thursdays, fully online because I might or not be here in town. And the iLife, which is Mac photography, photos, all of the apps, phone, everything. And that's Wednesdays 1 to 3:45. Oh yeah, so we didn't say that one. So that's Wednesdays 1 to 3:45. And then as far as the design classes, I'm going to be doing Photoshop and digital design techniques, which would be a good one for anyone this is your first introduction to these things to take, because it's introduction to all the basic setups of Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign. And then the in-depth Photoshop. And those will be Wednesday morning or Friday morning. Okay. So if you're interested in any of these CRNs, I can post them in the chat. Otherwise, there you go. Those are my summer classes. Now I'm waiting for Jesse, but he's not coming back. So let's go ahead and continue with InDesign. Any questions about this meanwhile, by the way? No? Like the classes or anything? All right. Oh, thank you. I'm glad to hear that. Sometimes, as I say, I do my best. When I looked at the outline for this class, I said, no way. Oh, it's here in the survey. Yeah, you're right. You know what? Thank you. For those of you who want to fill out the survey, if you go into the class handouts for this class and producing design techniques, I have a survey here. When you go into the Zoom class recordings, I put the basic informational links, and here's the survey. So if you click on this survey, I would appreciate hearing about, you know, what it was. I was trying to streamline this class and go a bit faster, so I didn't do the hundreds of hours of introduction because I ran out of time last time. So I do want since most of you were similar people, I didn't enhance that, but I do really appreciate the survey right there, okay? All right, InDesign, here we come. I don't want to hurry us, but I do want to make sure we get through the important stuff. So second page. We're going to go to second and third page. So remember, if I click on second page and the command 0 will bring me just to the page 2. So if what I want to see is the spread, the shortcut is actually command shift 0, command option 0. And that gives me the entire spread. And it's a detail, but again, some of the people here who are more advanced were saying how like they appreciate learning new shortcuts. Like Sam has been doing this for a while, and so I'm teaching her. But if you're new to this, don't try to do every single shortcut. I kind of try to teach things at different levels, and definitely the extra shortcuts are for people who have heard the first one and know how to use the first one 20 times, but learn the second one, okay? When I'm talking about stuff that you already know, go ahead and do screenshots, put them in Padlet, that kind of thing. I put the Padlet link on the chat. All right, let's continue with InDesign. We're in the so to say in the inner part of it. I'm going to just really quickly paste in here so that you can have an idea. This is what a bit of what we're about to create. And you know how before I showed it to you small. This is a little bit about what we're about to create. Not sure we're going to get into everything, like including the birdie, but that's the idea. So we're going to have some side photos, some imagery, one column on this page, and the same text box over here occupies the whole page, so it'll be divided into 2 columns, okay? And then there's a little insert or a quote, or, you know, this is usually the quote is something that's in the text, but it's like set up outside of it, and so we're going to format it a little bit differently. Now, what matters here, and in the first page, is that we're beginning to create like, we're not going to repeat. Discover is not going to be repeated again in the future. We don't have another headline or masthead, so to say. But if this is a magazine with 20 pages, we might want to have this same setup for my headline again, or the same presets, let's say, for my quote, so that every time in the magazine I do a quote, I use this same font and thing. And I don't want to have to, you know how here we had to go and choose each time this size, this size, this size, that size, and it took a while. Well, imagine if every time I put in the text for 45 pages, I have to choose each time what the font is going to be like for the body. This is considered the body text, what the font is going to be for the headings, what the font is going to be for the quotes. So one thing you do to streamline things, again, not if it's just a 4-page thing, but if you have many more pages, is set up styles, paragraph styles. So when you create a certain style, like the headlines, then a paragraph style, what you do is you kind of record everything we just learned how to do. The font, the size, the leading, the spacing, which we didn't have to do because we didn't really have lines yet, but when you like Kia or a welcome, there's a certain size of space between those letters. So all of that gets recorded into one like snapshot, which we call the style. So the next time I write another headline, I don't have to reformat the whole thing again. Remember what the format was, go to a piece of paper to see what I had written. I just go and select that text, click on style headline, and boom, it just formats into headline style. Does that make sense? Or I put in a bunch of text in here for my next 3 articles. I select the whole text and I go, boom, paragraph, body text, and zoom. And then there's all my magazine comes out with my styles preset and ready to go. Does that make sense? Now, just to, for better or for worse, to show you why I was resisting the whole newsletter file that I was working with you guys the other day, but if you do have the files for it, let me show you what final newsletter, the newsletter font. Oh, I need to share the entire screen, not just that. Hold on. Let me share this whole thing so you see everything. I'm opening up the newsletter file and I'm gonna skip the step. What's that? Oh,
They can see it.
the annotate. Okay, thank you. The spotlight. Every time I reshare, it turns off, so I need to reset it. That's why sometimes it's on. No, thanks for reminding me. Okay, so this, this would be the ending version of that magazine. But let me show you guys, if I select this spot here, and I want to go and see the styles, let me just bring them up. We're gonna have to bring them up anyway. Styles, I'm gonna go to paragraph styles. Look at all the styles recorded for this newsletter. There's the body style, the byline style, the head 1, head 2, head 3, pull quote. So let me just show you, if I were to now go ahead and select any text, like this text, I'm gonna go and select this bunch of text right here. And I wanted it to be a pull quote. I click on pull quote and it goes into the pull quote mode. If I go, no, that's supposed to be the masthead, I click on that. You know what I'm trying to say? You choose, this is the caption size and what's going to be, and this is the heading or the subheading size, right? So by doing this, when you have hundreds of pages, now let me go ahead and undo to all that. When you have hundreds of pages, which in this case, we did have hundreds of pages. So if I go over to all the other pages, every time I write it, I don't have to be like reinventing the whole thing. I just go in and say, oh, this one is body text. And in fact, if I check right now and select it, you'll see that there it is. It goes to body text. This is the style I decided for my drop caps, and that's body text first when it has drop caps. This is what I decided will be the subheading. And if you look, it's like heading 3, right? So that's how you would design in something by that's consistent throughout 25 pages. Now, I'm showing you this because we don't have any styles head, and that's why I was kind of demoing based on something that most of you guys were in that class, so you have an idea of what I'm talking about. Now here we have nothing, we have no style set up. So how do we, what we're gonna do is just so that you know what it's, what the idea is, we're gonna create a style for one or these two, but again, I have other stuff to show you, so I'm not gonna get to set up the styles for the entire thing, but then you'll know what it is like to set up a style. And then if you have a chance, maybe on your own and putting it in the Padlet, create a second or third page and then add a bit more of whatever this page has and has that styles and do a screen capture and show it to me in the Padlet, okay? But for now, let's see how that works to create those styles. So I'm gonna go ahead and go to page 2. First of all, let's go up to the window and pull up the styles and click on paragraph styles. So everyone go up to window, styles, and let's create paragraph styles. And let's bring up the palette for paragraph styles. So go up to window. Where every box that we don't see, we need to pull open, and that's what we're doing. As you can see, there's many types of styles, and right now we're gonna set up paragraph styles. There's object styles, so there's like, maybe you made a style for every box that you begin with. You want to make sure that it's styled with that green fill with that color, whatever. So then every time you pull up that box, you just hit object style and all your boxes turn into the same green. You know what I mean? There's many things you can set up style wise, and for efficiency, that's what you want to do instead of designing each piece on its own. But right now we'll just work with, but as you can see, there's tables have styles, characters, right now we're going to go with paragraph styles. Why paragraph? Because just about anything you write, even if it's one line, that's a paragraph. Okay, even though we see it as one line, as long as it exists as a sentence in one way or another, that's a paragraph. If I were to so anything if I have to style more than one paragraph, I'm gonna make sure to just select both paragraphs, right? If I have text that has more than one, I would have to select the whole thing to apply that paragraph style. So yes,
I mean, we created columns.
No, 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 not yet. Right now, we're at 0. Everything right now is at nothing. We're at 0. I was showing you what the final product is going to be, but now we're going to create that. So let's go ahead and start by, we're going to create a text box because we're going to start putting body text in here. So let's grab a type tool and in the page 2. Okay, so go to page 2. We're just gonna, I don't know, we don't know yet where we're gonna put it. I mean, you kind of saw where we're gonna put it, but let's somewhere around here. It doesn't matter where. Grab and make a big box. Right now, we're gonna move where it goes. Make a big box. It's gonna hold text. Now, when you don't have the text from the client yet, you can just fill it with placeholder text, but we do have the text here. So let's go place it. And you can either do, for those of you who like shortcuts, Command D, or for those who don't like shortcuts, let's go to File, Place. Oh, go to page 2. Okay, let's start by this. Go to page 2. Start with going to page 2. Double click on page 2.
I got an active layers lock.
Double click, well, hold on, double click. There we go. Now, grab your type tool and just make a big box in the middle of page 2. Just, it doesn't matter yet. We'll place it later. Just make it, drag a big box. Cool. And now go to File, Place. Jesse, you're there. Jean, you're all there. But Jesse, you need a hand or you're there? File, Place. Okay, now click on Place. And we're going to go find our files. I have my files in the downloads, right? You might already be there because I have so many files. I don't. In the magazine class files, and in the Discover New Zealand files. Okay, and in all these files, you'll notice that I have, oh, it's kind of mixed, which is interesting. Let me, they're mixed up. But anyway, I want to go to text 1 body copy. So once you're in that folder, find text 1 body copy. Okay, did y'all find it? All right, you can either double click or click on open. And here comes the text for this document. Okay.
My text came in.
That's fine, and it should be. And you know what? Thank you. I was demoing things all over the place and someone said, my text came in the red box. That's where it should be. I made a mistake. I was demoing stuff and see where my text is? It's in the graphics, which it shouldn't be. So I'm going to grab it from here and drag it up and drop it into the text box or the select tool. By the way, let's go back to the selection tool. I'm going to grab this text and I'm going to just push it up and pull it and drop it into the text because it should be there. And I'm going to lock down my graphics again. So thanks for pointing that out because it should have had a red box. And see, I'm glad you taught you that because Lizette was like, oh, mine is red and yours is blue. Because I was the wrong one. I put it in the wrong place, right? So that's why it's good to have those things locked because it helps you then by default, the only other place to create it is in the right place, right? You have to select it. The only way to have a frame is, oh, you don't have your, yeah, sure. Those of you who still are in this like W mode, if you left it in W mode, then when you click away, you don't see the frames or anything. Make sure to hit W so that you see all your guides and lines and margins again, because we're in working mode right now. Okay, close, turn off, click off your graphics. But you might wonder, wait, how come I'm not seeing all the stuff that I had in graphics before, right? Well, you're in your text mode, and that's why you're not seeing what's in the graphics. And you're in page 2. So this is showing you what's on page 2. If I, in my pages right now, were to go to my page 1, if I go to my layers, this is what's in my page 1, okay? But if I'm in page 2, and I go to my layers, there's nothing here. If I go to my page 3, or 4 in this case, and I go to my layers, there's nothing there. So the layers here show you what's on the page that you're on. Okay, so that's a good one to show you. So in page 4, there's nothing here. So my graphics and my text are empty. And page 2, I just put some text. So if I go to my layers, all I have at this point, it's empty, is text in page 2. Does that make sense, you guys? The layers show you what's in this whatever page you're in selected. And that's why we're empty. We don't have any graphics in here yet. And now we put in one text. But if you didn't have the graphics locked, you have to drag it up and let's put it in the text. Okay, tell me, I'm gonna clean your hand, your answers. I see, Vera, you have a question. I'm clearing your answers. Give me a yes if you all were able to figure out the whole text and pages thing. And then I'll answer questions. So yes, Vera?
When I try to draw my rectangle with the move tool, it says that the active layer is locked. Then
Yeah, because maybe you're trying to create it now in the locked layer, in which case, if I try to do it, it'll tell me, Matt, the
Okay.
active layer is locked. So select text, and now you'll be able to create it. Okay, so one of the things that happens when you create, when you make a lock, if that is still what's selected, and now you do try to make something there, a box, whatever, you'll see that the little icon says forbidden, not happening. Why? Because it's locked and it tells you, hey, the active layer would be the one that's selected, but it's locked. Do you want to unlock it? If I say okay, then it's going to unlock it. And I didn't really want to unlock it. I just didn't want to make it in the wrong one. So
it drew it, but disappeared.
Mine is not there. I don't have it.
It drew a red rectangle. When I let go of the mouse, it
Yeah.
disappears.
yeah, because it's not happening. So make sure that you move up to text, lock graphics, right? Go up to text. And now make sure to go to your type and make your box. So if you did it before, go ahead and undo, because whatever you did didn't land in the right place. Undo whatever you had. Do exactly this. Lock your graphics, select, boom, select, like it has to change into blue. This is the locked is selected. This is the text is selected, right? Select that layer. Now make your text box again and it should work. And if it doesn't work, then I'll ask you to share your screen. Okay? Over here, how's it going? Does everyone have their text in the correct layer? So to say, show me your layers. Oh, you have your layers disconnected, but grab this layers thing and attach it in there. Yeah. And then paragraph styles, attach them in there. It just reminded me that when you do bring in paragraph styles, I was showing it, but I didn't actually do it. I went up here to window and bring in the paragraph styles. If it's floating around, you might want to, it's gonna kind of be floating around at first, right? So grab them and drag them into, so right now they're kind of, all over. Drag this whole box into here to lock it into your layer so that when you go to paragraph styles and to all of these, they're also down here. The whole thing came in, not just your paragraph styles. If you wanted only your paragraph styles, then you can just grab only the one thing, paragraph styles, and leave the rest out. But it comes in like a pack. When you bring in paragraph styles, it came in with a bunch of other stuff. Did that work? So let me go again. When you first came up with paragraph styles, it came up as a loose box. Since I had this open, this box appeared over here and it looked kind of weird, like it was on top, but it's really a second box. That box with all of its character styles and other stuff that it has in there, we only want the paragraph styles. Grab that box and just dock it in there so that now you can open layers or pages or paragraph styles. Got it? If that worked, let me get
No,
get it out of the way. There's an easier way to get to paragraph styles too, which is in the properties panel, but I just wanted to show you that if you don't have it, you don't need to have it there, but just tell me where I lost you. Did y'all, because I was showing you how to open the window paragraph styles, but then I didn't do it myself and I went on to explain something else. So I hadn't been able to show you that. So once again, when this appears, it'll be a box that's floating. Grab it from the top to get the whole box in there. If you grab it from the word paragraph styles, all you do is you dock that and then the rest is still out there. So instead, I wanted you to grab from this line above the word paragraph styles and then the entire box, you click in there and you dock it. And now all three of those tabs are available to you. And that one is the paragraph styles, the one that we're gonna work with. Okay,
My A.
I'm gonna go and walk around and see if people here got that. And if not, truly, this is minor. I really don't care. Oh, okay, so yours, you have yours opened up.
I'm trying to put it in here, but
So, yeah,
Yeah,
grab
no.
links. And put it in here, wait until that. It's like you need to wait until it docks, good, now grab character styles. And wait, your mouse has to touch that, your mouse, not the box, but your mouse. See, that's what's happening, hold on. See your mouse? That is what needs to be in that place, so click on that again. And now put your, see how your mouse, touch that line as, no, move into, the line has to be through there, keep going. Don't let go of your mouse. See, the mouse is touching the wrong spot. Now the mouse, which you can see how it's pointing to the right spot? Then you goes, now do that to the paragraph styles, grab the paragraph style, and now move your, there, mouse. It's kind of hard to explain, because you see a whole box and you think, but it's.
But you're talking about
your
that
box. Yeah, no, so let me pull it out again. When my mouse can be here, can be here, and this won't light up until my arrow touches that spot. So if I'm doing this, it would look like it's ready, but where's the arrow of my mouse? It's way over here. So I have to go all the way until the arrow of my mouse points to the right spot. Then I let go, then it docks itself. That's the tip of the mouse is the only thing that matters for this to light up. Anyway, right now you have it there. These are your paragraph styles that you need, so you're ready to go. Yeah. I kind of wish I had shown this, because I have enough to show you that how to use paragraph styles is less important for the styles. Paragraph styles, yeah. And now, you know what, I need to move on, so I'm gonna just skip through on the document. You're ready. Because I need to, this is so unimportant that if you're having issues with that, I'll just do it for you, and if you're at home, don't bother. Okay, how to dock things, it's just not part of what matters right now. Yes, Vera?
I'm still stuck on that rectangle to draw. Just go on, I'll watch the video afterwards.
You want to share your screen, because the rectangle, that's important. Go ahead and share your screen, because I need to explain that to you. Paragraph styles docked in the right place is not important. The rectangle with text is important. So yeah, show me that. Okay, so let me move your, I need to move your thing over here so I can see it and people here can see what's happening. All right, so go to the pages icon. Oh, you, okay, so you know what, here, give me a hand, give me I'm requesting remote control. Can you do that? Can you say yes? Okay, don't move your mouse anymore. What's happening here is that this layers box that's there appears and is hiding your other stuff. See, it's kind of, this is the example I gave. When it first appeared, it appeared on top, and it's like you're basically hiding things. So what we need right now is I'm gonna move these things to the right place so that things look like mine. That way you don't look so it doesn't get so confusing. It doesn't matter how I'm doing it, just bear with me. That way from now on, whenever I show something, your stuff is in the same place. So here are your pages now. Okay, here are your layers, and here are your paragraph styles. And all it had to do was with docking. And since that's all that mattered, that's all I wanted to do. Okay, so now go to layers and go to pages. And now you go ahead and go to page 2. Now you move your mouse. I stopped. Go to page 2. How do you go to page 2?
I was gonna do it at the bottom. of
That's the parent page 2. And let me move this up because you don't need all that empty space there. Don't move your mouse for a minute. There we go. That's the parent page 2. I need you to go to the real page 2. So go to, and you have 4 and 5 in there, but I wanted you to go to page 2. So go ahead and double click on page 2. Or yeah, you're going down there. That's another way you go to page 2. Perfect. Now you're in page 2. Go ahead and hit the W key so that you can see. You do have a box there. It's just that go to the guys.
It disappears.
No, what you have right now, you're in the preview mode. I see what's happening. Go and select your selection tool. Get out of your toolbox. Go to your selection tool. Remember that I said if you hit W, you see your stuff or you don't see your stuff.
Yeah.
So in preview mode, you don't see your text box. So hit the W so you're seeing all your guides and all the good stuff. So you've made a ton. You haven't seen them. I just wanted to point this out to you because you kept making them and making them. You just weren't seeing them. So no, go ahead and grab a big old, like select all that stuff with one big like grab like that and just hit delete to all of them because you don't need any of them. Be careful when you're in the W mode, everything you make is kind of hidden. And as you can see, she kept making them saying it's not working. Why? Because she couldn't see them. So be careful with that. Now that stuff that you made there, you made in the locked layer. So go back to your layers and move into your graphics so you can get rid of that. Go to the layers, which is right. Oh, you're doing it from there. Okay, I put them in the dock, but yeah. Let me just do this. I don't want you to have like layers everywhere and docks everywhere. It's very confusing. Let me get rid of the stuff that you have them everywhere. Oh, hold on. I'm doing something for you to just simplify things. Okay, I'm gonna grab your pages. Oh, hold on. I messed up because I didn't leave. Let me just reset your essentials and start again. Let me bring up your, your window. Layers, then just clean it up. Okay, so here are your layers. Here are your pages. And now window styles. Again, since I really want to teach more, I rarely do things for people. I really need to not worry anymore about the docking, but I don't want you guys to be confused. So that's why I'm doing this part for you. I really need you to have to move on, because this is just, you know, small potatoes. You can then do it for yourself when you turn on. So in your layers, in the graphics, you created these two, but since I told you to lock them, you can't do it. Let me just select them and delete them for you, because all this was you creating stuff without seeing them. Unnecessary. Not your fault. I had told you to hit W and hide everything. And so you kept creating and creating and creating. See, and it's like they disappear. They disappear. They disappear. It's not that they were disappearing. You weren't seeing them. I just created 3. There you go. See, so make sure to not work in W mode. And if you don't remember the W, it's this preview mode here. Don't work in that because you make things that you can't see. When you're ready to work, switch back to seeing your guides. This is display mode. Oh, it looks good. It doesn't look good. Hit the W. This is working mode. Now go ahead and grab your T, make your text box, and you'll see it, and we'll be ready to go. So for people who are beginners, everything I just said sounds really over the top. That's okay. I'm kind of teaching at this class is supposed to be taught at a bit higher level. Just make sure to, if you want, spend the entire time in this display mode and don't switch back and forth, or you'll have a hard time seeing things. Okay, so you're ready to go. Anyone else before I share my screen who needs a hand?
Thank you. And then it was file place and I didn't catch what I was supposed to place.
Nothing. Oh, place text 1, I think it's called. Copy text, body text or something like that, right? It was called. So yeah, place, I think the name was this one, text 1, body copy text. Okay, all right. All good here? Jesse, you have your text, you placed it? If not, call me over because I need to move forward. I'm looking at the clock, I'm getting your assessment. Good. Just call me if it didn't happen. And here we go. Body, text, all of it. It came in, but we don't want it all to be in that place and that size and all that thing. So what we're going to do instead is
You're not sharing your screen.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Whenever I start again, I need to be reminded to share my screen. So here we go. And here we go. It might be easier to share the whole window, but right now I'm going to share your screen. Okay. So here's, what's that? Oh, light on mouse. Every time I reshare my screen, I have to return on the light. So I tend to forget until someone, you know, when you change the share, when someone else shares, the light goes off. You have to put it on again. Here we go. Light on my mouse. All right. This text right now, if I look at it, says Minion Pro 12 points over there, right down here. Well, I only want it to be in this bottom part. So remember how we said that the text and the frame move separately. for one word. That's true. But look what happens. This is a whole bunch of text. So if I now grab this box and reshape it or resize it, the text reshapes or resizes with it. See that? It makes it long and thin or tall and skinny. It just everything that it doesn't disappear like the Discover did, because Discover was one word. And you know, when you, it's like me going as small as the first word, new, then it disappears, right? But when it's a ton of words, they keep showing up until you have enough. Now, we want to make this a relatively smallish text box, about yay big, and it's going to go about yay here. So let's go ahead and do that. And yes, we don't have all our text in here when we do that. And that's something we're going to have to fix, right? So let's kind of start with that. One thing I haven't done here yet is put columns in this page. So if you like, we can put columns, but again, since I already did columns in the newsletter class, I'm going to just go ahead and go with what you don't know yet, right? So I'm going to put it about here. That's about right-ish. Now, the big problem with that is, what do you think is the problem with that? What happened to all my text? Yeah, it's like, where's my text, right? It's gone. Now, when something is gone, remember the Discover, when I couldn't see it, where did I told you to see that there was more? No, good point, but no. Yes, that was, thank you. My indications sometimes are clear to some people, not to others. That's my fault. When the Discover disappeared, I said, you know that there was text there because there's a plus sign. Well, same here. I have a bunch of text, but when I see that plus sign at the bottom in that little white box, it's tiny, that tells me there's overset text. There's text here that I am not seeing. That's all it's telling me. It's like, hey, lady, you have more text here. If I don't know what the article is saying, which many times when you design for someone, you don't know what the article is saying. If you don't see that, then the visual marking is like, whoops, you left some text out of here, which is fine because we're like, oh, okay, thank you. So I want to put the rest of the text over here. And it's going to be in 2 columns, but right now, all that matters is that we're going to pick up the rest of that text and then create another box for it. So watch what I'm going to do. It's in the very tip of my mouse, the piece that now has a red light, that has to touch exactly on that plus sign. If it's anywhere nearby, it's not going to go exactly on that little plus sign. And when I click, I pick up the rest of the text. So go and click on that, the tip of your, no, you have to make your box smaller because now you don't have overset text. So make it a little bit smaller even, or maybe bring it to the top. It was fun where it was starting, but yeah, that's about what we want it to be off from the margin. Text won't go all the way to the bottom. So click on the bottom box and make it up a little bit. Yep. A little more. Okay, that's about here. That's good. Okay, good. Now pick up the rest of the text by putting the tip there. Click. No. Click. Don't click and drag. Simply click. Ooh, and now when you move your mouse, it's carrying text. Okay, it's loaded. You got loaded text. Okay, everyone at home, you got the loaded text. That's the only tricky part to remember. That it's a very, if you click anywhere around it or click and drag, it doesn't work. It's just a single click. And here's the rest of my text. I don't know how much it is, how much it isn't. Maybe it's 10 pages of text. I don't know. I loaded whatever came up. Now I'm going to drag out a box that occupies this whole side of it. Click and drag about yay big and let go. And there comes the rest of my text. I didn't know if it was going to fill or not, because unless, again, a lot of times you're not the writer of these things. And you don't know they came in with 500 words or 1,000. So you just make the box and whatever you have there drops in. Okay. Yeah.
So will that show a plus sign on everything that you put? Like,
yeah, like right now, when I look down here, there's no more, the box is empty. That means there's no more overset text. But this one did have overset text. Now, how do I know that this is following that? Just watch my screen. See that space there? I have a space. I'm going to show you what happens if I make this smaller again. The rest of it went in there. If I make it bigger, that goes in here. They are connected. They are threaded. But you don't see the threading automatically. So we need to turn that view on. Let's go to view, extras, show text threads. You need to have one of these boxes selected. View, extras. So you need to have one of the boxes selected for sure. If you don't have a box selected, it won't work. Show text threads. And when you let go, now there's a boom. Yeah, this is truly going from here to there. You see that? It's a good one to have turned on because then it just, you see it. Oh, that goes from here to there. Sometimes it's confusing, especially when, what if at the bottom of this, it says continued on page 7? Well, guess what? And just trust me on this one. Don't do it, but because I have other stuff to show you. But what if this was like the continued on page 7 is over here, right? Well, the text thread would show me that this would still work. Like if I were to make this bigger, this is now doesn't have much, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna undo that because I need to continue with where we were. Actually, if you copy paste, the thread goes away. So I didn't want to actually show you that. Where's my, just trust me. I would create another box in the background with this and it would work. So let me just do that again. If I click on this plus sign without creating and pick up the overset text and don't put it on page 2. If I put it on page 75 and I just went to this one and drag it here, the frame here would show a thread going from page 2 to page 75, right? Why does that matter? Because sometimes I finish it and someone says, well, we edited this, we'd rather you take a whole paragraph off. If you take a paragraph off from page 1, all that text in page 72 would flow into page 1. They are threaded. It doesn't matter where the second box is in. We're just threading it to the spread, but it could thread to anywhere. And as you move text and boxes, you make it bigger or smaller, that box in page 72 would still move around to fix the text that's coming in. Does that make sense, you guys? It doesn't matter where you put it. It's not about if it's in page 2 or 3. As long as it's threaded, it works. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to undo that. I'm going to go back here and thread it back. Click on that. And again, we spend much more time practicing this. It's the same in Illustrator, or it's the same in InDesign. When I do the digital design techniques class right now, trust me, this thread maintains itself no matter whatever page this is. And it happens to be that it's right next to us. Okay, now that's good. Let's go ahead and make this one a little bit smaller. We want some empty space. We're going to have art in here. So the first block is going to be less text. So now this one, we want to have it be the same size. And notice, let me show this a little bit bigger, that I want the text to appear, you know, in kind of the same line. I don't want it to be in a different line. So what I need to do, and I'm going to just go ahead and maybe see a little bit of this. I'm waiting. Watch what's happening here. A green line is going to appear when this line aligns with that line. So watch really quickly. It kind of comes and goes. Boom. See there? That's telling me there that now I went too low. And then boom, I see that little green line and I let go. Then I know that these two paragraphs are aligned. I could have brought in a whole guide and done it myself, but this, I'm using what's called the smart guides to tell me, yeah, that's working. Do you see the line that I'm showing?
Are you bringing from the top or is on
What?
that blue line?
No, it just appears, it's called the smart guide. It appears when it aligns to something. And so as I drag down, boom, oh, gone, oop, gone, boom. When I stop when the line is there, if I now let go of my mouse, I'll know that these two are correctly aligned. It's just appears to tell me that's a good place to drop it. These two. Yeah, it's just that. And then like, look at this bottom box. I'm going to align it to this bottom box. Again, I'm going to grab this and start dragging and whoop, there it is. I passed it. Whoop, there it is. I passed it. And when I see it, I drop. Good. Now I know that this box is starting and stopping in the same spot as the one on the left. Does that make sense? It's a temporary smart guide that it turns on just to show me, oh, that's enough. That's good. Now, without having to measure or anything, my paragraph boxes, my body boxes are aligned. That's all that's telling me. Okay. Yeah. So I'm gonna move this up and down, and I wanna make, instead of bringing out, guides, which columns and stuff, if I'm doing it a bit more by hand, this thing called Smart Guides is gonna help me, because as I bring it down, see that pink line is telling me you're in the middle of the page, but I didn't want it in the middle of the page. I keep moving, so it goes, okay, oh, there, I aligned with that one. So you let go, and now you know you're aligned. So just, and then the bottom one, if you didn't have it the same size, right? Then you have to align that one, and you have to then go and stretch it out, and, oh, there it is, align, oop, let go. So they appear only when you have them. Now make sure that the boxes are aligned similarly enough from the margin. Again, I'm doing this without many guides because we're normally, I already showed you last time, you would set a whole grid and columns to make sure they align. But this is a good way to align things when you're just doing a 2-pager, right? Now I am pretty sure that this and this are exactly aligned because I use the Smart Guides. Yeah, I thought you had a question here. I thought you said something. No. Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
the only way that you can move it or larger is by clicking on these squares, right?
Yeah, every box, every frame, every box, everything, and the place boxes always have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Those handles, 4 corner handles, and the middle ones are the only ones that you can use to operate the frame. There's other little things happening here. That yellow one, this box, ignore them. Well, this box we know, it's our threaded one. Quickly to show you, this one is one that allows you to select this and give little rounded corners onto your stuff. It's so unimportant that just, if you ever press the yellow one, know that just ignore it. Okay, so now I've got my box set up inside of the space of my margins. Now this is supposed to be 2 columns. So how do we divide this box into 2 columns? Not the entire page. Last week I showed you how to set up with just columns. This time I just want this box. So let's head over here on the right. And as long as my text frame is selected, under appearance, you'll see something that says text frame, the frame that we've been talking about. And I can put some columns in here. So I'm gonna go up, 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 and I'm adding 4 columns or 2 columns or no columns to just the frame. You see that? Boom, 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 boom. I mean, I don't need that many columns, but I'm showing you. And that line in between the columns is called the gutter space. If I want to change the gutter size, I would go over here and I would go big gutters. And then I'd have like huge gutters or small gutters, right? And I'd have really thin gutters, which make it unreadable. That's the gutter size. Okay. Now I don't want any of those. So I'm going to undo so that I don't change all my stuff. And I did it so many things that I'm tapping 0. I just want 2 columns. There we go. That's all I want. Now, some of you will have text in the second column, some not, depending on how big you made this first one. Now let's go back to the first one, right? And we're going to resize this text and see if we get it to fit in there nicely. So for now, just, we want to make this one be maybe a bit as, thinner to make sure we have a bit more text on the other side, but it doesn't matter. That's good enough. Now, what we might want to do, though, to make things more readable, we're going to change the font. And again, this was going to be Roboto, but Roboto didn't work. So which was the other one that we had ended up choosing? Over here, I ended up choosing Gil Sans. Oh, Didot. Thank you. No, Didot was the headline. Didot was this one. And we don't want body text to be so fancy. That's not a good, but the second one, I think I at least had chosen Gil Sans Light. If that one worked, we can select that. So I'm going to select this box, but here, watch a minute. These are threaded boxes. Just watch, demo, watch. If I change the font now, I select the box. I'm trying to change the font. Do you see any font information here? No. Why? Because this is a threaded box, there's more complication. So suddenly selecting the box isn't enough for me to see my text information. So I need to go and select the type tool, right? And so the moment I select the type tool and I click in here, I am going to have information about the type. But watch, if I were to just now try to change something and I make this huge 60, so there's clearly I would see it. Did anything change? No. When you have the type tool, the only way to change type is to truly have it all selected. So I'm going to select everything, and it's kind of hard to select everything. You could click and drag and kind of keep going and select everything, but what if the second page isn't here, but it's in page 72, right? Because it could be. So to select all the text that's in all the boxes threaded even through to 72, I need to do a select all. So first of all, make sure you have your type tool. Click in your text. That's the first two steps. You're in your text, and then select all is one of those, every computer program in the world, selecting all is Command or Control A. Or I could go up to File. Where would you, I don't know, the select all tends to be somewhere. I never, here, Edit, Select All. If you don't like shortcuts, it's under Edit, Select All. And that selects every single bit of text in these boxes. Again, even if this were on page 72. I keep saying that for you to remember that we happen to see it, but you might not see it. Okay, so you click in there somewhere. Good, your cursor is in. Now select all, which I said, Command A. There you go. Okay. So let's go ahead, and now when we change something in here, it will work. So now let's go over here and let's change this to, I used Gil Sans, whatever you use. I'm going to click in there and put Gil Sans. And as soon as I write Gil Sans, it appears Gil Sans. And I've changed everything to Gil Sans. Okay. If you use something else, change it to whatever you use, or just use Gil Sans. It doesn't matter. Just start writing GIL, and the option for Gil Sans would appear, because when you know the font, it appears for you, right? So I didn't even have to go, Anna, you went over here to the arrow and all that. Just when you want to change a font, just click in here and this gets selected and start writing the name of the one you want. So maybe you chose Helvetica, who knows, whatever you chose, right? If I go in here, it'll appear, you click, and it'll change to that, okay? So I happen to have chosen Gil Sans, whatever. Okay, so I'm going to go with Gil Sans, and that's where it was. And I had Gil Sans Light. This is probably not a good font to have light, so I'm going to go to just regular, because light text is good for a headline, but not for read. So I'm going to choose Gil Sans regular. Okay. Okay, so look in here and select all, which was either Command A or Edit, Select All. Okay. Remember what I say, if something doesn't work, if you've been listening, whenever something doesn't work, what's the first thing I say? Select. If you're trying to change text, select text. So when you're home and doing this on your own, say, oh, it isn't working. What would Diana say first? Diana would say, are you selecting what you're trying to affect? You're trying to affect text, are you selecting your text? If you're trying to affect the box, are you selecting your box, right? So when I'm not here, remember my little story that I tell is for you to remember that 99% of the time what's missing is a correct selection, right? You might be selecting a red box and you're trying to change the yellow one, select the yellow one. Trying to select text, select all your text, right? And then things work. So this is my help yourself. Good. Now you have like a selection down here. Click on the filter and undo you're looking for monospace. So click on filter, click, yeah, and say I don't want that kind of thing. So clear all, or it's showing you only the monofilter ones. Okay, there you go. And then if you click in here, you should see the Gil Sans that you used before. Okay, and if you want, and you have regular. Okay, good. There you go. You have the Gil Sans right there. All right. How's it going over there? Oh, Jesse. Select box, not the text, and then the text string here allows you to go up to it. Put a number 2 or use the arrow. Okay. All right. Now, for some of you, the second column doesn't have text or not. It doesn't matter yet because you will all have text. What other thing I want to change here in the text is I want to change the spacing between the lines, right? Because if I actually approach, this is kind of compressed and it's fine for a book, but for magazines, you want to have more air. The spacing is this over here and it's called leading. And I'm going to just like click on the up arrow and see, I'm making more space between the lines. And then as soon as I do that, the second line begins to fill up. You see that? And then once I have a bit more sledding, and I don't know, maybe I'll add, I don't know how much sledding I'll add, maybe 17. I don't know, I'm just kind of guessing as to how it looks right now. And then I don't necessarily want to change my text anymore. So I'm going to go back to my selection tool, because now I want to work with my boxes. The frame is what has the columns. So I need to go to selection tool. If it's text, I'm in the type tool. But if it's the boxes themselves, I have to go back to the selection tool, okay? So just remember which tool you need depending on what you want to do. So now I'm going to grab all of these together, which by now they are all selected together because I had said select all. I'm going to just make them a little bit smaller. I'm going to balance out the text a little bit so that it doesn't look so off, right? And so now I can play around, and I'm going to make sure that I don't leave any plus sign. I left a plus sign. What it means is I got some text now outside of this box, right? So then you can click away if you want, and then begin to change individually. I'm going to make this one a little bit wider so I can bring stuff in there. So you're playing around with some stuff until you find something that works for you to feel comfortable with how this works. Now, these are not balanced because I have some spaces there. So maybe I'm going to make this a little bit. If you're going to make them taller, you want to do them to both at the same time. You're going to make them wider, you can have them wider at different times, okay? Can I what? Oh, I have to have my type tool again, so hold on. And this, so I need to select text, and the spacing is this one called leading. Right next to the size, font size, right here, I have the leading, which is the spacing. You're welcome.
Now, you have that part, you have one line that's.
Yeah, because, and let me show you when this, let me just see that space, because that's, I was about to talk about that. When I pull this out, what that space is, this space, it's the paragraph space, right? And so when you do this, in this case, my paragraph space is showing up right there. See that?
Yes.
So what I can do is just eliminate that space. Like, for example, if I were to go in here and just say undo that space, I'm going to eliminate it there. So just to show you, if I go and put my type tool and click into in front of the S and just hit delete, I've eliminated that extra space that the paragraph has, right? So then that helps, because when I come back here and make this that way, I don't have that extra weird space. See that?
That means I have to go back and.
Go into your type tool, put your mouse in front of the S and get rid of that extra space. Sometimes the formatting that comes with font is stuff that we don't want, so we can delete all the formatting. In this case, it had an extra space for the paragraph. We just wanted to get rid of it, okay? And then it's easier to align things. All right, that said, maybe, so let's keep playing around. And as long as it's kind of, working for you, that's good. It doesn't need to be perfect. I just want to make sure that my last word is, line is English being very dominant, like I can read it there. So I want to move these around until for sure I see that my line is English being very dominant. And I kind of accomplished it there. And the boxes seem kind of balanced, and I don't have any oversized text. So now I'm kind of happy, and I'm going to be done and say, okay, that's what I've done with my text. Again, you can play around with this a little bit more to get it perfect. I want to move on to bringing in graphics, because as you can see, it's a bit of inching it in, inching it out. Other times you don't have that. Other times, this is the box, this is the size, you got to put it in there and it just has to fit. But in this case, we have the opportunity to do whatever we want with it, because this isn't like strictly modulated. We're creating it. After this, the rest of the pages better be like this. But for now, we're designing, right? So that's how we think it looks good. And I hit the W to look at it, and I see, okay, it looks like it's got a good amount of space. Maybe it looks like I have more space between here and there. Maybe I'll move it over a little bit to the right so that it's nicely balanced out or something like that. Anyway, so I don't know, because yours might be in one place or another. But right now I'm happy with what this is. And so back to working mode. Save. if nothing else, please do a screenshot right now, so later you can upload your text in your columns. Okay. Let me just say one thing that's really important. You should never just design something like seeing it out like that and not test it. If you had the chance to have a printer, you should print this page out and try to read that text and see if what you did is a readable size, a readable spacing, a readable font. Because on screen, we read very differently than in our hands. You know what I mean? You might print this out and discover that the font was unreadably small or the spacing was too big, and you might go in and change it. Right now, I know that this is okay because I've kind of told you what to do. But if you're on your own, you can't tell. You can't read it. It looks good, but is it readable? Print out a page, check it out. Printing is the only way to physically see that real thing in real size. Because on your screen, what's the real size of this? I don't know, right? What's the real size of this 8.5 by 11 page? We're just seeing a little thing like that. So we don't have a chance to print here. If you guys at home have a chance to print, you want to just test that out. Don't ever forget to first, especially if you're setting out a template, to test it to see if it looks good, if it looks like it's the right size. All right, trust me, it is. And now, or it is-ish. Save, do a screenshot. So remember, for the Mac people, Shift, Command, and 4, and then you let go and you just do like that. And then maybe you want to include your boxes and your frames and stuff like that and let go. And that's your screenshot that you'll put up in Padlet later. Okay. Cool. I am ready to bring in another element here. Oh, and I wanted to make a paragraph style out of this. We're running out of space and time, so I'm not going to have you make a paragraph style for everything. So I'm just going to have you make a paragraph style when we write the headline, okay? Otherwise, we don't have time for a ton. So let's write the headline. And the headline is going to be so much to do, but it's going to be very similar. And let me just show you, I'm going to paste in here to make it easy. The final bit is going to be, here we go. This is kind of what we're looking at. And this is the same font as we had up here for Discover, right? So instead of starting from 0, right? We can write anything there. We can just copy from up here and then paste in here, right? Because then maybe we need to make it a bit smaller, a bit bigger, but we don't have to reinvent the wheel, okay? So actually, instead of doing that, I'm gonna put this in the pasteboard so that if you guys need to be seeing what we're heading to, I can just go there and show it to you, but instead of having to bring it in each time. Okay, so I have this and you don't, but that's all right. This is just a little show. Okay, so let me go over to this page, click on that Discover, copy it, Command C, or right click copy, or I believe edit copy, and then let's head back over here to page 2 and make sure to select something here so that truly you are in page 2. That helps for the whole layer conversation. And now paste. Now, why don't I not see it? Yeah, it was white text and I'm on white paper. So what we need to do is head over to the box, change the text color, and let's choose that red, the New Zealand red that we had made for the box before. Let's put that one in there. Command V, like yeah, vase. Oh, okay, yep. So what you did here, it's okay. Do an undo. Whenever you do something wrong, just do undo, Command Z first. And then what you did there is you had filled the frame with red. Okay, so let's, when you go fill, go to frame and change to text. And then go and choose at the very bottom are the colors we created yesterday, right? So choose that, the New Zealand red. Okay. Did that work? Yep. Nope. Maybe. All right. Now, instead of Command paste, I'm going to use paragraph style. But right now, yeah, it's white, right? So now you change back to the type tool. So you're kind of selecting only one word. So if you're in the type tool, you need to go to Command A to make sure you select all the type tools. And then go to fill and text and scroll down to move the text. Now, What's up here is at the bottom is a bit too small, and since we're putting the box, go up to. Yeah, and then stretch. Select the box, no, you're not supposed to put this thing. Okay. Now, grab the bottom. Yeah, pull it out. But it's like this stuff. Okay. So we're gonna have this be a bit smaller because it's not the masthead, right? So we're gonna make it a bit smaller. Again, we can choose here blindly, not knowing what a size will be, or we can first write our text and then assemble it to the right place. Now, we want the text box to be the same as this column. So we move it to the same as this column. What we discover is it's not big enough, right? So we want this to be right over our text. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go into our text, select the text. Now I don't have to do all my changing font size, whatever. It's there. All I need to do is change the text because the presets came with that. Okay. And so we're going to put in a heading there, and it was a name, a New Zealand name. So I'm going to select all and change that to, I think it said Kia Ora or something like that. And then what was it that it said? I'm trying to remember. Let me see in the sample. It said, in the end, the title said, or what was that? So much to do. So much to do, so little time. That's what it said, the final one. So not Kia, or that was another example. Open up and say, so much to do. And then ... Now, I don't see what I'm writing, right? But as long as I trust that I know how to write, it's happening there. But what's wrong with it? It's overset, right? So now you can either, you can go over here and just kind of try smaller, way too small, bigger, way too big, right? You can do that. Or, oh, mine said so much to do. Right? Now I see it. So much to do. Or once I see it all, then I can just do what I did before, which is shift and command and make it bigger. The only problem with using that right now is that I wanted the box to stay within there. So in this sense, if I do that, then I'm going to have to bring this box in again to have that 2 go to the bottom. See that? Which is fine. It's not like it's a problem, but otherwise just handle it from here and move this in and out until you find the right size that you want. So that looks like the right size, but, and again, it's up to you if it's the right size or not. I'm going to do that. I think there's too much space between these 2 lines, don't you think? So what was spacing supposed to be? Over here, letting. So now I'm going to go down and see how my to do is approaching a little bit more. I'm taking out a bit the spacing. So I'm just playing around until it looks good. And then that's going to be, we didn't have to change the spacing before because here it was 1 word. So we didn't know that it would work or not. But as soon as we bring it in here, we discover, oh yeah, for 2 lines, there was too much space. So I go to the spacing over there and which is here, it's called letting, not spacing, but it's line spacing is what letting is. And I go to the under arrow and make it smaller until it fits. And now there you go. So now I have my headline right there. Once you have something you like, it's good to bring that box in a little bit and there's not have extra box lying around all over the place. It just helps, but yeah, it's just a thing. You go to the W, look at it and go, oh, I'm liking that.
Hey, Diana, oh, sorry. I still have the reverse, the red box in white letters. And I
What's that?
clicked on text, but nothing changed.
Can you say again?
I clicked on text, but it didn't change. It didn't reverse.
You
I
need to,
have,
you need to select all. If you're clicking on text, you need to then put your mouse in the text and select all, because text only changes if it's selected. The box changes what's all in it, but if you're in text, you need to select your text and then make your change. Did that help?
no, not yet.
Okay, let me help someone in here while you try that out. So much to do, take one out. Yeah. All right, looking good, looking good. Maybe make some letting it up. So go to the letting and just select it all again, all the text. And then, or use the arrow and then go to letting and make a little bit less space. Cool. To the Padlet. So I put the here in the chat. You guys don't have it. You don't, you can't put the Padlet link. So if you have the handouts handy, there's the link for the Padlet right there. At this point,
If you used it the other day, you should start typing it in the search bar.
that's true. If you go and make a new browser and start writing Padlet, it kind of will come up because you went there last time. Yeah, so that's true. Thank you. The memory of the computer should help. Okay, InDesign. Oh, did I show you this since we're at it and I showed this page? I think, oh, I did. I showed you the classes that I'm doing in the summer. Okay. InDesign. All right, cool. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put an image over here. Again, here we go. Let me put the W. We're going to bring this in a little bit. We're gonna bring that little fern, and I am using the example so much to do. You could write here or a comma welcome. I see is what it said, but it doesn't matter at this point. It's just the headline. Let's go and bring in a frame to bring in a picture. But remember, and I'm gonna move this out of the way. One key thing we need to remember though, is that this picture is probably gonna go out cut right on the edge of the screen. Oh, I'm seeing your hand. Vera, did it work for you or?
Well,
Okay, so share your screen so that I can help you, because when I don't understand, I need to see.
you see it?
Yeah, but what is it that is or isn't working?
Okay, right here, discover, when I went to fill,
Yeah, so in order to fill it, you're filling right now the frame. So at the top of the colors, change to
Yeah.
text.
it is on text.
Okay, and you're right, text is white, so that's fine. You need to make the text red, not white. So scroll down and make the text red. But the problem of making the text red is that your frame is white, is red now. So switch to frame and make your frame none. So go up on top again, switch to frame, and then make your frame none.
That's it. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Cool. All right. Share my screen again. And there we go. InDesign. There we go. Okay, so we got to bring in a box here and it's going to have a picture. So I'm going to go get a regular frame here on the left side, the frame, and I'm going to click and drag. But remember, from the bleed line, not from the text, from the bleed line, because this box is going to be all the way across. So I'm going to make it about yay big and let go. Don't worry with well, go ahead and do it if you have the Padlet right now, but I want to make sure you get this frame done. And it's going to be from bleed to bleed and from bleed to bleed over there. Does that make sense? We want the photo to fill up everything. And now we got to place again. So then anyone, if you're into shortcuts, remember the shortcut for placing? The Command D or Control D if you're on a Mac. Otherwise, you go to File, Place. And if once you are comfortable that it's placed over there, it'll show you the shortcut. Next time, try the shortcut. Command D or File, Place. And we're going to go find the image of the forest, which try to remember what was the image of the forest called. And I think it's the one called, give me here, I have it written down. What's that? Number, yeah, number 3. Let's say open. Yeah, number 3, image 3. Now, what's happening now is that this image is humongous, right? When you bring it in, it's beyond the size we need it. because we actually want to see the ferns. The ferns, not the ferns. And so what we can do is we can resize the content. We're going to leave the frame as is. The perfect frame is perfect. We're going to resize the content. So we head over here to frame fitting, right? And we have the choices of fill the frame proportionally or fit the content proportionally. Let's try which one works better. Because sometimes you need one depending on the photo, sometimes the others. I'm going to start with the first one, which tends to do most of the time the job. And there we go. I have a nice little frame in there. Okay. I spent a lot of time explaining in the digital technique class about resolution and why this matters. So if you want to understand, that's an in-depth conversation that take a whole day. Take one of my resolution Photoshop or digital techniques to explain what's happening in the resolution. For those of you who understand and who've done this, so don't ask me if you don't, I'm going to go to the links and over here. So again, this is for like people who are a bit more advanced. You'll see here that the actual V5 was 22 and the effective is 265. So that's good for printing. That is something that I said for the people who've done this in my other class. If you didn't understand it, just kind of erase that from your memory. And trust me, that's good enough for printing. If I want to move the image around to get a better, I can grab the grabber and move it around a bit more. It's up to me. It doesn't matter. But what matters is that if I want to see if it's fitting well in the piece of paper, would be every time I add a graphic element, I'm going to click away so there's nothing selected and I'm going to hit the W. And now I'm going to go, oh yeah, that's good. Or no, the edge of this, I brought it, it's too much near the edge. Let me grab it over here and move it a bit over so I see more of the frame. Or no, I kind of liked it when I saw the curl better, whatever, move it around. But make sure that when you move it up or down, you're not losing and leaving white, right? So in this case, because we fit the frame proportionally, all we can do is move left or right. And then say, oh, I like that better or not. I mean, it's up to you. I'm just showing you how you could move the stuff that's inside while respecting the bleed. And then hit the W to make sure that when you moved it around, you still left bleed. You still left image around the whole bleed. And I had actually moved mine out of the way. I can see now. So good. Now I'm snapping it back to the bleed. Okay. So now we have that much done. Pretty cool. Now you might want to look at it, and I'm looking at yours, Anna, and I need some more space here. Try to leave some space that's a bit bigger than the gutter, so it's a bit more balanced. You don't want it to be touching. I'm not teaching you good design right now. I'm just teaching you how to do it. But while I'm here, I'm going to remind you, hey, make sure to leave some space. Cool. What's that? Oh, make the box. Yeah, grab the box and make it smaller. Yeah. And you can choose how much fern you want to see. That's up to you.
And
Some
how we
people.
make the photo smaller?
Well, when you selected it, go to frame fitting, and I clicked on this one. You can try and see what happens if you click on another one. That one, I liked it, so I left it there. Again, this is kind of art, right? You choose how much you want the frame to be big or small, but the first one is going to give you a better choice. All right. Let me just show you what happens with the second one. If I do this one, it puts your entire image into the frame. And since it's landscape instead of portrait, it ends up being really tiny. So that version didn't work. Sometimes it's what you need. You just check and see which one works best. In this case, this one worked better. I'm losing a bunch of photo here and here, but it works vertically. Okay. So as far as elements that we're bringing in, I want us to now bring in something from Illustrator just to see if we learn how to do a different, because we have photos, we have text, we formatted text. So in this case, what I'm going to do, oh, and I moved this one. I wanted to show you this one, but I lost the box. So this is kind of what we're going to do. And we're going to put a line here with a little birdie sitting on top. Okay. And then if we get some time to do this, we're also going to put a little quote in there. For those of you who are more advanced and kind of move past that, while we're moving the art piece and all of that, I just wanted to remind you what the last page is going to be, so that you can also go in and bring that last page. And the last page is going to kind of look like this. So, let me put it in here. So this is kind of gonna be our last page, and I'm only gonna, the reason I'm explaining this is because you might want to, while I explain a couple of other things. Here we go. Command 0. I'm gonna put it here. I keep. Why is it not? Doesn't want to go outside. Doesn't want to go outside of the frame for this. So so you can go to the other page and bring in some text, and the only difference is that we have a box just like this one, but it has the bird and has a logo. So just, if you want to start right now, I'm going to have us bring a logo, not a logo, another piece of art that's from Illustrator in there. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of that and have us bring that little bird. Okay, here we go. So first of all, we need to make a line, and the line is going to go in between these two. And so I'm going to have to figure out, well, how do I make a line, right? And you know what? I didn't show you how to do the paragraph styles. I've you bracketed in. Let's go ahead and select this and make a paragraph style out of this headline, so that when you go down to the second page, you can just have it ready to go. So select so much. What? What? Oh, thank you. To work, we want to be in this mode. Yeah. I know how to work in this mode because I know where the guides should be, but when you're learning, here you can really see what's happening. So go at select much to do, and our paragraph styles are, we popped them in here, but notice that there's also a word here that is saying paragraph style. So we could have done it from here too. And if we do it from here, it's telling me that this is my basic paragraph style. Well, I want to make one which is specific to this. So I can do it from here, clicking this plus sign, or I can open the panel over there and then go to this little box here. That's a plus sign. Either way, we're doing the same thing. We're creating a new paragraph style. So if you don't see this panel, just do it from here, click on the plus, and we're making a new paragraph style. I'm going to, the reason I like the panel better here is because when I create the new paragraph style, and right now I already did it, then I can just double click on it to make it, to show you, to open it up. And so again, I'm going to cancel. Let me undo so that I, before having made it, and this is one that exists. I select this and I make a new one. And when I make a new one, this thing called paragraph style 1 appears. I'm going to undo that. If I did it from here and click new paragraph style, it appears here again. I like it because it's easier to edit from here than from there. So I'm going to do it here, and I'm going to double click because I want to call this one headline, for example. Not. Okay, this is, I had you guys bring this in. Yeah. So click on the plus sign. You got to make it. Oh, you need to have selected the text because we're making a paragraph style from this. Right? You're saying make a paragraph style from this, make a paragraph style. So what was my answer there, you guys? Someone said it doesn't work. What did I tell them? No, I told them select.
Select.
If in doubt, if someone says it doesn't work, I don't go to them. I first say select, then I go to them. Then I say, okay, now show me your screen, right? Because it's always select. And I'm pointing this out, not to make anyone feel good or bad, to show you how many times when people say something's not working, my answer is always select. Because that's what you're going to have to do for yourself at home when you go, this isn't working. Oh, Diana would have said select. So you select the text that you're making the paragraph style of. Yeah, because now you did, so go undo. You applied the wrong, undo. You have to start learning the Command Z because that's, okay, Command do. And now the new paragraph style, if you double click on it, you can change its name and call this one like headline or something like that, right? And we usually call them heading.
Change my font.
Okay, that's because, okay, you've made your paragraph style out of that. The paragraph, when you had something else selected, your paragraph style now is actually making things do that one. So ignore it. We're gonna throw that one, make a new one. Now you have that selected, make a new one. And now your 2 is the one that double click. And make this one be your head. And if you notice over here, there's a whole bunch of choices that tell you that heading style is D dot, bold, size, in my case, 63 points, leading 62, New Zealand red. So it's defining what that's gonna be. Why this matters, I'm gonna say to that now. If I do any other text in here like this, I can say, oh, make it heading style. I click on heading style and, oh, well, this is, because this is threaded text, it's got, I'm gonna go and click in on the text here and say, select all, make it heading style, and boom, all my text turns into heading style, which in this case, I don't want it heading style, so I'm gonna undo. But does that make sense? I could go to my first page now and say, I want to make the New Zealand heading style. If I click on that, it made it heading style. It doesn't work, but see how quickly you make it work. And even the discover is similar, but it's not red. If I click it and make it heading style, it turns into smaller in red because that's what the heading was. So if I had time, I would not make a heading, a copy style and everything style. Anything you do, you make a style so that later, anything you do, you just click on that choice and it presets it to the dot 62 red, you know, that's what, so when you're working with styles, things are much faster. By the way, anything I just taught you about styles, it's exactly the same in, of course, Illustrator, Photoshop, or even Word, Excel. The styles thing across the board, PowerPoint, you set up it's always called styles. In any program, it's a preset of something you want to repeat again and again. So in any program you're ever in, if you know that you want to constantly make your something, just make a save. Go to whatever program has a styles box and say, this style is what I'm going to use for all my whatever. Call it that, and then keep going. And next time you make one of those whatever, click on the style. It works across the board. Premiere, I mean, editing video, it's just a thing amongst everything that you ever have on a computer. When you want to create a preset for it, for text, it's going to be called a style. But as you saw, there was also styles for your boxes, also a style for how all my photos are going to be. Always, they're going to always have a black border around them. Okay, make a preset that every time you put a black border, you don't have to each time give it a new black border. That's about all I want to say about styles, meaning this is a useful thing across the planet of computers. So what you should learn is useful all over the place. All right. Now, let's move this up a little bit because I'm going to make a little red line here and I want some space for it. And how do I make a line? Under the type tool, we have a line tool. Click on the line tool. Now the line is really just a stroke. So watch what I'm going to do. If I just make a line anywhere, it'll be kind of hard to make sure no one's watching. I'm saying watch, I'm going to do it. I'm seeing faces on their screen. So come to me. Don't select the line tool yet. Watch. A line, if I try to draw it, it'd be very hard for me to make it straight. I mean, with guides and stuff, I might be able to, but if I want to for sure make it straight, the thing that constrains proportions is always shift. So if I hold the shift down, there's nothing but straight, right? Okay, so now let's head over here and make our line, and then it's going to go across both, and I'm going to go from beginning to end of the paragraphs, but I'm going to hold down the shift to make sure it goes very straight. Right? And then a line is, if I did it wrong and I have to fix it, it's better to undo and do it again. Otherwise, once it's made, if I keep that tool, I'm going to make more lines. So remember, once you're done, go back to the selection tool. And now with the selection tool, you can choose to move it up or down or put it somewhere else. But most importantly, we can, if I don't select it, that's just a little black line, because a line is mainly just a stroke. So let's change that to the good old red that we've made, New Zealand red, and let's make it a bit fatter. So now I look and there it is. It's a bit of a fatter stroke, and I hit the W and boom, there, I like that.
How do you make it bigger, fatter?
I change its weight. So I select it, and over here, how many points? So if I make it many, many points, there's a very big fat one. Okay, it's a big fat line. If it's less points, it's a small line. So I don't know, 4 or 5 points, 3 points, something like that.
How do you say the
What's that? Yeah. I don't know what size, just something that you like, right? There's my line. Now, again, if this were something, a line that you're going to repeat in many pages, you make a object style because it's not text for it, right? What's that?
We will follow the red.
Yeah, the color, the same old red as the headline that we made. You make it whatever width you want. You place it somewhere in the middle between that, and that's your line. Okay. As usual, when you have something selected, the color will appear over here, but watch, it's a stroke, it's not a fill. So it's the stroke that you go and choose the New Zealand red.
I don't show it.
Maybe you have selected text. This is a frame. Let me see. Okay, select it. Go down to the red.
I did not select.
Oh, you didn't have a select. She didn't have a select. I would have paid about $25, but you felt like now we. Yeah, so you have to go to the color. That's details about the stroke. Color is always in there. And then you go around and this one. Yeah, and then it doesn't need it, though. You have to fill on it, but it doesn't matter. It's just that lines don't have a fill, so that's okay. The color gets chosen. Let me point that out up here. Does that make sense? Okay. Hacete un save y listo. Después puedes mirar al final. Igual queda poquito tiempo. Gusto en verte. Okay. So guys, one thing that I was not pointing out, there's the word stroke. If you go to the word stroke, there's choices to your stroke. That's not, it's this box where you choose color from. And that color for fill from there, color of stroke from here. So that's what was happening there. They were going here. So that's where you go. And then you choose the good old red that we've had from the beginning. You make it fatter and there you go. We have our stroke. All right, we're gonna do the next thing. And you see how nicely this. What? If something weird happened, my answer is always first, I'm here. What name? What is weird?
No,
Do that and just look and see if you like it. Maybe you need to bring it up, or bring this one down. So, you know, that would help to balance it somehow. All right, you're welcome. And again, someone was trying to figure out how do we know if it's in the middle? It's hard with all these layers. So for that kind of thing, I go to W and then I know if I want to move it up or down or whatever, because then I can see much more cleanly. Back to the other W. And now let's bring in, this time, I'm just not going to make a box yet. It's a different way of placing is just to say file place. I don't have the box for this art yet. I'm just going to do file place. So I'm going to go to file place and I didn't make a box for it yet, but I'm going to bring in a little birdie. So it's like logo to bird. File place. You could have made a frame for it too. I'm just showing you another way, which is you don't have the frame yet. Here we made a frame and the photo popped into it. Now, before we make a frame, we first bring in the thing, logo to bird. When we say open, instead of dropping in anywhere, it drops in like text. It just hangs there. My bird's like, where do you want to go? It's in my hand. So it's another way of placing things. So now when I click and look, if I just single click, it comes in at a certain size that happens not to be what I want. So I'm going to undo that. And I'm going to actually say that I want it to be whatever size by clicking and dragging and making about the box of the size I want that bird to be, which is about that size. And then I let go. For those of you who are clear about pixels or vector, this is a vector file. It can be made any size and it'll still look good. So here's my little bird. Now I can change its, let me see if I can try to change its color. I go over here and try to change its color to red and it's filling the frame. So they go, that wasn't it. I try to undo it and I try to change its text and it's not a text. So what's happening here is that when you have an Illustrator file, this is linked. And for those of you who remember the whole conversation about linked, I can't change it from here. I have to change it from Illustrator. If this is made in Illustrator, I have to change it in Illustrator. Okay, so I don't think we have the time right now to go into Illustrator, but well, maybe. I don't, want- if those of you at home who have time, you can go to Illustrator, change it to red. And then, or no, not, you know, and then actually the solution is this. Go to Illustrator, copy this image from Illustrator and paste it in here, and then you can change it to red as a copy. I'm not gonna do that because we're running out of time. I'm gonna put it where it should be. And then later, we're gonna change it, but yeah, so for now, just let's live with it in black. You have time when class is over, go and open Illustrator, copy it and paste it. The whole point is when you place something, you can't change its color. Sorry, when you place a linked file, you can't change its color. You have to go to the original place that created it. Oh, I see it there. What do you mean? Oh, you're dragging, no, undo that. You're dragging the grabber. To drag it, to move something, you always have to go to the black arrow tool. And do not touch in the center piece, because that center piece is the grabber and it's moving it out of the frame. So click anywhere outside except for this little grabber and then you can move it. But if you do the grabber, what you're moving is, well, it disappears, right? So click outside of anything other than that circle is the grabber. Anything other than that allows you to move it around. Okay. Now, you can also, I think, I don't want to open Illustrator right now. You guys, with your time afterwards, open it in Illustrator, copy it and paste it in. And that's the only thing I wanted to teach you. When it's linked like this, you would have to go to Illustrator, change its color in Illustrator, and then it would update here. But if you want to be able to update it in here, a trick is to copy it and paste it in here. Then it's not linked. It becomes a document, not linked, but part of InDesign. Then you can change its color. So you're trying to do something in Illustrator, and I'm not going to teach. So go back to InDesign right now. Do it later. Here's the thing. We have a logo that we want to bring in, and let's bring it up into this front page because we didn't have time to, we're going to bring it into the back page too, but let's go to the one that we do have designed up here. And let's bring in a logo, same thing, file, place, and I think this one's called logo white. There's a black one and a white one. We're going to bring the white one in and say place, and it's going to go up here because it's the little logo of my magazine. And notice that it's a little, one of those little New Zealand birds over there. I'm going to put it in that corner and I'm going to do like that. And yeah, I like that. Okay. Now, if I try to change it to black, I can't, just like the bird. So if I want to put that over here, I would have to bring in the black one. Oh, it keeps telling me that the other class is about to start. I'm sorry, and I'm very aware of it. So shush, phone, you're making me nervous. Yeah.
My bird disappeared.
Yes, because you moved it in the grabber. So go back up and undo. You have to learn to do this one because undo is the quickest way to get out of trouble. So now go up to the top. Oh, you dropped it in there. Perfect. There you go. All right. If you have time to do this at home, trust me, open this one in Illustrator and don't place it, copy it, paste it into here black, and then you'll be able to go and change its color. That's all. It's a trick. But then because it will be long, it'll be embedded into this file versus placed. Placed is linked. You need to change the original. Copied and pasted is not linked. It belongs to InDesign. You can change it in InDesign. Okay, that's the main message. All right, and so now there's a quote if you want to bring in a quote. So let's click and drag another text box up here, and let's go place Command D. And I think one of these is called a quote. There you go, quote text. I'll put it in, and here's my quote. Now, clearly, I haven't made any paragraph styles for quote. If I want to, I can, but it might help if my quote is going to be in like that, but smaller. I can select that text, right? In this case is another way to apply the paragraphs. Go up to my paragraphs and turn it into heading because it's going to be the same, but we'll modify it. Now we'll make it that way, but much smaller, right? So maybe it's going to be a heading, but it'll be 18 points or something like that, right? So that way it's easier than having to choose everything. We just choose that. Now, when you do that, we discover that 18 points with that much space doesn't work. So then we go over here and it's the spacing that's too big. So now we can bring the spacing down. And if we don't know what's normal spacing, we can hit auto and it tells you, oh, for this text, auto is normal spacing, right? And you do that.
How you work out.
So spacing, if you don't know where to start, you can try, is this enough, is that enough? But auto spacing will tell you what technically this thing seems to work. And then you go, well, maybe I'll adapt it, make it a bit bigger or a bit smaller. You know, it's up to you what you want to do with that. But it's a good way to kind of gauge it. Now I'm going to move this to the right to be aligned right. And that kind of helps. And then when I look at it, there's my quote, but I usually the Peter Jackson, the author, gets made smaller. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, well, first of all, let's change the text to green. Remember, we had a nice little green there. Let's make it green, the green that we had done before. And then select Peter Jackson. And then I'm going to just make it much smaller because usually we make these things much smaller. Or we can even make it the good old Gil Sans to have a different font for the author, something like that. And that kind of works, right? You can design it differently. You can make a different font. You can do whatever. But for example, Peter Jackson bold, I don't like. So I'm going to select Peter Jackson and make it Gil Sans, but not bold. So like regular. Right. So then you begin to modify and adapt. You use whatever. If we had time, we would have made the whole thing. Every one of these would have been its own rule. So again, paragraph style. So then when you're done, you would go in and next page, you would be able to just select this choice and that choice and that choice. I'm going to make this guy a little bit smaller and what?
This lettering thing.
To make the letter bold or not bold, you have to select and do it down here, bold or regular or whatever you want. Okay. Oh, you're welcome. Guys, that one I have to pay attention to because it's 12:58. My other class starts in 2 minutes. I'm going to say, you guys here, stay safe, do your screenshots like we did last week, post them, everyone at home. We're almost there. As I said, the only other thing that didn't get done was the back page, but the back page, there was nothing new to learn. Whatever I had to learn, I put it in here for you to see what it was. Okay, so there is no new learning here. The only difference is that we would have had a chance to use the paragraph styles to repeat it. And there was this little box here and the text and the logo in black. So you can go and do the last page if you want, or invent yourself.
Deanna, where is a copy of the finished product?
I don't think I
I don't think we have
have
it.
it. I'll go and send me an email because now I have to start with the Illustrator class. I'll go and put the set of how it's supposed to look like. I'll put it up in the handouts, okay?
Yeah.
But I won't do it until after the Illustrator, so I won't do it until tonight. Because
Yeah.
right now,
Okay.
after the Illustrator class is over, I have a meeting. When I'm done with that, send me an email, remind me, and I'll go select this thing and put it in the handouts, okay? So
Okay.
you have an idea what it's supposed to look like. Because yes, in the final one, the only other difference too is that the front page I had, instead of the black thing, I changed it to a photo. But at this point also, I've taught you what I wanted, which is how to do each thing. Now, you might want your front to have that photo or another photo or not have a photo, you know what I mean? But the elements of how to put them in, we covered every one of them. And I'm like, yay, happy that we got to that. And I would love to see what you come up with for your design of the back page or the front page, put it in Padlet. Because in the end, as long as you know how to use the tools, the design is your choice. Okay, Jesse had his hand up first, yes?
So let's take a screenshot and then publish it on our,
Put it in the Padlet, yeah,
I don't know.
okay. Okay, yeah, can you do that? Thank you, because I have, it's nothing, it's 1 PM. I gotta open up my Illustrator class. Okay, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, and I'm happy that we actually, believe it or not, you might not think so, but we actually covered every item that needed to be covered. Oh, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put this in the Padlet. Bonnie, I'm gonna put this one in the Padlet. That's what I'm gonna do.
Great, thanks.
Let me do that, and then I'll open the Illustrator class. Hold on. Padlet. Paste. Can I just, final pages or something like that? And then, is it gonna work to paste in here?
No.
Did it take the paste? I don't know if pasting in here is gonna work. I'm gonna have to save it as a screenshot. Hold on. Oh, yeah.
Maybe
it
just
worked.
send it as a file.
Final sample pages. There we go, publish. There it is. There you have your little.
Thank you.
Thanks, duh, I have the Padlet there and I was forgetting. Okay,
Thank you.
great seeing you guys. I don't want you to do the same front and back. If you want to make a different one, I'd love that. But if you want to make the same one, there's the sample. All right,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Thank-
See you guys.
See you. Bye-bye.
Maybe I'll see you in the summer, maybe I'll see you in the fall or around town, Trader Joe's or something. Bye.
Bye.